Hey everyone, and welcome to Comics from the Multiverse, the DC Comics podcast from the Mail Fuzz Network. I'm Peter, and joining me from a ginger realm beyond, Connor's here.
I am. I'm sticking around now.
I think we found the perfect amount of time when we record this where the veil between worlds is the thinnest, so he can materialize.
Yeah, it took some real planning.
Yeah. I mean, we also had to sacrifice, but less.
Yeah, it was just a goat. It's fine.
Don't tell Tim. I'll try to keep that a secret, Connor.
It's fine. Tim won't hear this.
True.
The other voice you're hearing is Matt.
What's up, people?
Dear. Yeah, we talk about comics, DC Comics specifically, and look at a lot of books this week. Week 4's not quite as bad as week 2, but it's kind of nudging in that direction. We're getting there. So this week we've got Justice League v Suicide Squad issue 6, Justice League of America Killer Frost Rebirth issue 1, Detective Comics 949, Action Comics 972, Wonder Woman 15, The Flash 15, Batgirl 7, Teen Titans 4, Blue Beetle 5, Batman Beyond 4, Deathstroke 11, The Odyssey of the Amazons number 1, Hal Jordan, The Green Lantern Corps number 13. We're in Connor's Corner at this point, by the way. Yep. Suicide Squad number 10, and The Hellblazer number 6.
I was just when we have this many books, I wait for you to read out the list and go, oh, I really hope I read everything. I hope I didn't miss one. I just forget. And it was extra tough for me this week because I didn't realise until yesterday that I had not read any of the single shippers from the previous week 4 because that was the week I missed for family Christmas reasons.
Your mother showed up uninvited, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Was the reason.
And it meant I couldn't get my comics or read them. I didn't have time, and it threw me off. And I forgot then to read them. Even though I've had a lot of spare time, and I was like, I could have fit those, 3 or 4 issues in at any point. I forgot until yesterday.
It sounds kind of like homework, where you just, you got your big essay deadline, you've got like a month to do it, night before is when it gets done. Cause
obviously, exactly.
That's just how you do it.
Yeah, so just to add on to even more of those books, that whole list that you read out there, add like another 3 or 4 onto that as well.
You didn't have to read those from the week before to read these ones first. You could have held off. Right?
You're talking nonsense, Matt. That's just nah.
No, it was the previous week 4. So, like the previous issues of Hellblazer.
I didn't hear the week 4. I heard previous week. So I'm thinking they're holdovers from last week.
No. Those would have that is exactly what
sense.
Caused this problem in the first place. It was holdovers from that week that I was just like, I don't need to read those till the next one.
Gotcha.
And then discovered, I think I got like 3 pages into one of these issues. I was like, oh yeah, I don't know what's going on. Did I read the last issue? And then I was like, no, I did not.
Reading. That's what happens every time I read something from the other company that's not Thor. Because I forget, because my brain's full of DC.
Yeah, just forewarning here, I've been up since 6 a.m, which for me is absurdly early. So I'm a bit loopy, a little bit loopy and tired, so this might be an interesting
Shambles.
show. Interesting is the word I'd use, Connor.
I see, shambles was me being kind. My first reaction was shit show. But we'll see how it goes.
That depends.
All I know is I remember Pete just telling us that he was going to read Red Hood and the Outlaws next time.
Yeah.
No.
To be fair, we did talk him into reading Deathstroke, which...
That's true.
You did,
Surprise.
yes.
One step at a time.
I read Deathstroke this week because both of these guys, after reading it... Matt read it first, and then he messaged me going, Pete, you might want to read Deathstroke this week. And then about 3 hours later, Connor messaged me and goes, Pete, you need to read Deathstroke this week.
I was just... Because if I'd left it at just what Matt had said, you probably wouldn't have bothered.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
But I did. So when we get to Deathstroke, I've read issue 11. All 3 of us can talk about that. Oh, yeah. I tell you what, this was the first week back of a lot of the DC TV shows. So it was actually a busy week of TV again for once.
It was.
It's
made a change.
after a
So we're gonna watch that.
quiet month. And then Riverdale started.
It's a good return for the whole week, pretty much. Other than Arrow, which kind of goes without saying. But
yeah. Arrow's
Was
just
Supergirl
being
back?
clear.
Sorry?
Supergirl, was that back too?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I'm behind.
It was the Kevin Smith episode called Supergirl Lives.
Oh, was there a giant spider? Because
There was a reference.
There may have been a reference to a certain Thingarian snare beast.
Thanagarian snare beast. Because spiders are the most deadliest killers in all the animal world.
I believe it was the most vicious animals in the kingdom, whatever John
Either
Peter
way,
said.
absolutely.
It's hard to misquote crazy, Pete. It's hard to misquote crazy.
It always sounds right, so it's fine.
Exactly.
All right, well, I guess we'll call that the niceties at the start. We'll get on with some books. All right, first up we have Justice League vs. Suicide Squad, issue 6, Joshua Williamson writing and Howard Porter on art. This, of course, is the final issue. This is the first thing I read this week, naturally, because
Mine too.
event, and I wanted to know how it ended, and how did this all wrap up. And it ended up being Killer Frost, who was at the core of the battle. She was the one who kind of was able to defeat Eclipso by, I need to drain his power. How can I do that? Well, I need to get other power from everyone else. And she has this great moment where she manages to turn Superman and the rest of everyone else, because even by this point most of the Suicide Squad's been turned by Eclipso, and she's able to harness all their energy to defeat Eclipso. And that's the
she manages to create a prism of ice.
She does that first,
and and then using sunlight energy
from Superman. Which, by the way, I loved how Batman pissed him off to use his heat vision.
Yeah.
That was a nice touch.
You don't talk about John, Superman, especially in the heat of battle. Even if he's Eclipso'd out, you just don't.
Yeah.
That's how you get red-eyed Superman.
So that was good. Obviously, it gave Killer Frost a big heroic moment, and there was a nice little touch as well before that happened when the rest of the Suicide Squad got taken, and it was just Batman, Killer Frost, and Lobo left on the good side, and I was like, that's a nice little touch, because those are the two that he's going to recruit. As we see at the end of the issue, that's who he recruits for the JLA. So that's pretty cool.
I wonder what an Eclipso'd out Lobo would have been like, because I can't imagine you can darken him, because he just he's all about the money. So
well, yeah, because the whole thing is that he Eclipso figures out what your deepest actual desire is and corrupts it.
Yeah.
So how can you corrupt him? Because that was Killer Frost's big heroic thing, is that when he digs in and sees, what do you really want? And it's, no, I want to be good. It's the opposite. I want to be better.
Right.
And it's a good moment for her. She has a big thing. Most of the interesting stuff, though, I think comes after the fight.
Just like we've been talking, it's the typical DC crossover event where this issue, hits its I don't want to say climax, right? Early.
That's why I'm a little bit underwhelmed. I feel like I mentioned last week, I think maybe another issue, and I stand by that now, because the actual fighting with Eclipso feels super rushed.
Yeah.
It was
not rushed, but it's on the right pace, but the back half is all epilogue.
Well, I mean, it's rushed. It doesn't feel that rushed in this issue itself, but it feels rushed in terms of the pacing of the event overall, because it's half an issue's worth of fight at the end of the event, and that's it against the big bad.
Yeah.
And it kind of feels like I could have done with a bit more of Eclipso to really sell this for me.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and I kind of agree, but at the same time, I'm like, one, I think all the stuff after the fight's more interesting anyway, and B, it kind of feels like when we realise what the actual purpose of what was going on, because obviously there's a twist here, there's a nice revelation between Maxwell Lord and Amanda Waller, where Amanda Waller, the cunning, conniving person that she is, actually wanted all of this to happen, because she knew that Batman and maybe other Justice League members were getting close, sniffing a bit too close to our Suicide Squad, and orchestrated all this to give them a common enemy, a la Watchmen. I just kind of want to point that out there. There's a nice little Watchmen parallel with that plan. So that Batman would be okay with... and by the way, Amanda Waller being smug when Batman kind of says he was wrong is glorious.
And here's the thing. I like all of that stuff, but I think it would have been even more effective if Eclipso had gone further, if it had been more and then it would have been like, oh, her plan almost went off the edge, and she was really close to pushing it. Whereas it still feels like she maintained some semblance of control here.
I feel like she was bluffing because Max Lord was the complete and total wild card, you know? So there's no way she could have controlled that and him taking over the Justice League, you know? So I feel like it did go almost over the edge. And if not for Batman, which pains me to say, then Max Lord would have, or Eclipso would have totally gotten away with it. So,
yeah, but I don't know. I just feel like I could have done with more Eclipso over the course of the event.
Well, yeah. I mean, if they teased it earlier than when it would have been fine.
Yeah.
But either way, the seeds are forward for what's going on.
The payoff was good. The payoff at the end was very good. I just wish retroactively an extra bit of that.
Yeah, all the payoffs actually afterwards were good because there's a good list of them here to go through. So first up, let's talk about. We'll sort of skip some of the before ones. Let's just go straight to the end and talk about the reveal. Maxwell Lord cracks a little joke after he kind of like tells Amanda Waller like he's figured out what her whole plan was, and he says, "Is this the part where you say?" Because she says, "Oh, you can't escape because I've got all this stuff in your blood, and if you try and move, you'll just blow up."
Which again, I don't understand that plan. Just keep him in a medically induced coma, like. You're not gonna.
She wants him to suffer. She wants him to know that he's beaten.
That's what I'm getting.
It's a power play. It's like, look, if he's just in a coma, it's like, yeah, but he can't think about that. He's not conscious. He's not suffering.
He's not experiencing
this, it's like he has to be awake and know that she's beating him.
Well, still, then I'm sure there's ways to paralyze him. Just pumping him full of blood thinners so his powers don't work, which that's just weird to me. I always thought the nosebleed was from him like concentrating too hard, you know.
Do you know what I love? I love that I was just brushing past that because I wanted to talk about the actual reveal, and Matt had to stop and go on about this stupid plot point.
Well, yeah, it's just one of those things that I was like, he looks like he was in a Bacta tank from Star Wars with these weird tubes coming out of him, and I'm just like, what is going on here? Williamson, what's up, dude? So
yeah. The reveal though, he says, is this where you say welcome to the Suicide Squad? Which is a line, she says that to a lot of people.
Yeah.
She said it earlier in this event to the Justice League. And she says, nah, I think your abilities would be wasted in Task Force X. But I think you're perfect for Task Force 11. Which, double thing. First of all, she's setting up another team for something else down the line, right? That's first and foremost. The second thing is, wait, the X was a Roman numeral this whole time? What?
See, I read it as Task Force X1. That's how dumb I can be sometimes.
I don't know. I always assumed it was a Roman numeral.
I never assumed it was a Roman numeral.
X sounds like bureaucratic. Like we're gonna hide. You can't put it Suicide Squad in the funding papers.
That's kind of why I assumed X was the 10th iteration of her attempts.
I never got that. I mean, I get that now. Now that we know it's 10 and the next one's 11, I assume there has been 9 iterations before this. But
So then who was between Lobo and that squad and Emerald Empress? So were they Task Force 1?
I think they're Task Force 9. I feel like there was a lot of other weirder things before then.
Yeah, there were.
This kills me.
Like the idea of it being villains specifically was probably the first iteration of X. Whereas before that, it was something else entirely.
I can see that being the case, yeah.
This kills me that Doom Patrol's at Young Animal, because you could have done a cool Doom Patrol story. Like, they were the first one. They were all weird. Yeah. Brought in Niles Calder to try to ring them in. And then she kind of mind wipes them and sends them on their way. So
have the Metal Men as one of them.
Yeah, the way I always read it before was the X was like Task Force X was kind of like the X and X-Files, where it was the unknown, it was the secrets, that kind of thing, and that's how it was always implied.
Yep.
But they've twisted it.
I get why people have always implied that. I just always assumed it was.
And I think Task Force X is
there was nothing that led me to.
Well, yeah, and I think that's a relatively new thing too, because I don't think they called him that in the original Suicide Squad comic. That was when they did the Justice League episode to soften it, because you don't want Suicide Squad on, a cartoon geared at kids. So they called him Task Force X.
Which is
and that
morphed
kind of
in.
carried over to the comics.
Yeah, which is morphed into Task Force X as the real name, and Suicide Squad is like the
Right.
nickname that they've all given it because.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but the fact now that we're getting Task Force 11 or X1, whatever.
And
It's interesting, because I clearly took this reveal very differently, because whereas you guys were like, oh, wait, that was the thing, I was just like, oh, what's next?
Oh, obviously I'm thinking
Obviously
that too.
there's that as
Yeah.
well. But,
Yeah.
but that was
Cool.
all that I was reading it as.
Because obviously the next question is, what is Task Force 11? Why is Maxwell Lord perfect for it? And what is the purpose of Task Force 11? Because it's not like she's disbanding
know?
10 and going to 11. Suicide Squad's still going to be a thing. It's still going to be around.
Yeah.
But she's setting up 11 for something. Probably an event down the line.
Probably. This feels very seedy, doesn't it? Like as in it's seeding a lot of things.
Oh,
for
there's so much seeding. Let's go back a couple of pages. Let's go back to... It's still Maxwell Lord, but he's basically describing what all the other members of the team that he was on are off doing. So much in that page. So you can jump in if I miss any of them. But first of all, we get again Emerald Empress with Sartan Girl, and she mentions if I can't do it with 1, I'll do it with 5, which... Now, I'm not super into Legion of Superheroes as of yet. I've not read a lot of them, but I believe this is referring to the Fatal Five. Correct me if I'm...
That is... Yeah. Yes, it is.
Which, and again, that's a villain group from Legion of Superheroes, yes?
Yeah, that's her villain group.
Yeah,
that
right, cool.
she represents. And also the eye is deteriorating, and so she... If the eye deteriorates, I think she said she's stuck, or she gets sent back to the future.
I think she gets sent back. I think that's what's telling her here.
Yeah, she says it's the only thing keeping me in this time.
Yeah.
So so now she has a ticking, clock.
Yeah. So now I imagine she might get sent back to the future in Supergirl. Because we know she's going to be in there with Superman and that, and then maybe she'll come back with her team next time.
Yeah.
And that'll maybe set things up or whatever.
The rest of the Legion, maybe. In Chase.
Yeah, maybe. Next thing on the same page is we saw. Did they mention who it is actually? It's like 2 scientists, I think, that have got Sorrow's mask. Johnny Sorrow's mask.
No,
They don't
just
say who it is.
that.
Yeah, but so they've got Sorrow's mask, and apparently it's going on about a lost society is the word that's used, and of course, Johnny Sorrow, at least where I know him from, is a villain of the Justice Society. So again, JSA.
It's all coming up.
Legion of Superheroes, both been teased in Rebirth, being re-teased here in this
This
first
was
event.
kind of like, don't worry guys, we haven't forgot, it's still coming.
Yeah, it's still coming.
Well, again, it's very... I don't know how much Johns had to do with this, but this is what Johns used to do at the end of his events. It's very Johnsy and it's exciting.
It's exciting. So, they're very clearly seeding all these things. It was funny because I saw an article on CBR, maybe? I don't know. I can't remember. But I just seen it being tweeted out. Event finale teases 3 new super teams. And I'm like, 3 teams? What? And I was like, oh yeah, it does. It's JSA, Legion, Task Force 11. Yeah, okay, fair enough. We've got 3 teams coming.
And I would argue only one of those
I would argue
is
also
new.
JLA as well. Like it's got a big tease. It's
Well,
obviously we know that's coming,
technically
but it's also
teasing.
well, it plays like a tease, doesn't it? If you don't know it's like actually coming, it plays as a tease.
Well, I guess if you're 11 and reading comics for the first time, then yeah.
Well, yeah.
Which is a good point. We kind of glossed over, Batman to Waller's like, but I'm taking Killer Frost with me.
Yep.
And she's all like, oh, she's
Really
a killer.
not.
You'll see she's a killer, Batman, and she'll be back. You'll see. And then we also see him make the offer to Lobo as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
The
it.
Lobo offer was great because he's like, we have unsettled business. I'm so pissed that you blew up my head. And
But I owe you one.
Batman kind of talks him down. Yeah, it's really great.
I owe you one, and
Go
Lobo
back to
keeps
that
his word.
page.
What
The,
page?
the one with the teasers.
Yeah,
The
okay.
snapshot teasers.
Yeah, what
They
teaser?
may come
Hilarious.
quicker than we expected because the Rustum one actually already happened in Suicide Squad.
Oh,
That's what that issue was. So I'm wondering maybe these are not as far away as they seem.
What is the Rustum one? Remind me.
He just goes, oh, he's never going to forgive you, and he's going to want to see you hurt, and he's standing up, he's on top of the rooftop looking down like the kids.
mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much what the
Well, yeah,
Suicide Squad issue is.
Yeah. Well, and you also have Polaris, upset that the Polaris personality got brought out again.
Yeah.
So they're teasing that, and there was one other one. The rest of them.
Then there's the kid finding the dam.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which might be setting up a new Eclipso villain kind of version of this kid.
Yeah.
If only a mighty mortal could rise up and say the magic word.
It's coming, I'm sure.
I know.
Better be coming.
So that made me think of, and I don't think it's a coincidence.
Probably not. They don't do coincidences when they're doing all these snapshots.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make a guess here. I'm going to make this one guess about timing. I'm going to say that after the button crossover, that will bring about one of these teams. I don't know which one. Probably JSA, but I'm not sure. But I think one of them will.
Yeah. JSA has more ties to Watchmen, I think, than any of the other ones. Legion, I feel that's Superman driven.
But you say that, but Legion can look at it and go, "Oh, this time's gone funny."
This was it, yeah, but they all lead to each other, and it's not a mess, which is why this is all great.
Yeah.
And it plays up to the bigger picture. But if you're not reading everything like we are, then you can just take, what you will of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and
I feel like the timing's right to get one of them, and obviously we know the button thing is going into May. It's going 2 weeks into May. We don't have the May solicits yet, but we won't for another 3-4 weeks. And I've got a funny feeling that before those solicits hit, we're either going to get an announcement that starting in May is, JSA or Legion. I feel like one of them's coming in May. If not May, June. It'll still follow on from that though. It'll be like,
oh man, I love both of those teams. May is when my anniversary is. Like, let's do it, DC. Like, give me something.
Matt wants an anniversary.
Make me forget about my wife.
Yeah. Well, she'll understand. She knows. She knows.
DC.
And I wanted to wear a Legion ring at the wedding. She knows. Okay. That's made up. It was a Green Lantern ring, but whatever.
I think a Legion ring would have looked a bit classier, not gonna lie.
A little bit, but green clashed with the red and gold, but whatever. I'm not gonna.
You should have bought.
Pete knows I'm not making this up. Pete's known me long enough now. That...
Oh, no, I believe you. I don't think you're making it up either.
I think the disappointing thing here is that he didn't give his wife a Star Sapphire ring.
I did. She wouldn't wear it. Come on, man. I also wore a Superman shirt under my tux because you had to. That's it.
Okay, just to wrap up on the event then. What did we think of the event overall? Is it as a 6-issue series?
I like a lot of these. I love the early stuff, and then the ending, it happens, and then it leaves with all the seeds. I felt that way about Infinite Crisis, although Infinite Crisis made me cry. But I'm sure we'll discuss that later. And Blackest Night. I really felt the same with Blackest Night. Where Blackest Night kind of happens, and I was more interested in what happened afterwards and what that led to. So.
Yeah, DC does this a lot. I think overall it was a solid event. I like that it was so contained for their first major event. It feels like it was big and impactful, and obviously all these seeds are going to play out across the rest of the line. But it feels like it didn't interrupt anything almost.
No. The only tie-ins came in Suicide Squad and Justice League, which makes sense when it's Suicide Squad versus Justice League.
Exactly.
So,
it does.
Yeah.
I mean, I've said this before, but I like how it was 6 weeks, once a week. It didn't feel like it dragged on. It got through it quickly. As far as the thing overall, I thought it had a lot of good character moments. I thought it set up the new things. Obviously, the seeds at the end for all the new exciting stuff we're looking forward to is really cool. I thought all the fighting that did happen did have good moments in it. Like, the early fights with the League and the Suicide Squad and their fun banter was good. Even the
There was never a pointless fight, was there?
Nah, they're right. There was never a pointless fight. They really teased the villain group with Maxwell Lord in the first issue really well. Him walking in, you never see his face, and all the killing going on and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That was teased very well, and yeah, and even that page. Just to go back to the banter between the heroes and the villains, that page in this last issue, where they're all comparing scars and stuff and.
Yeah.
Whatnot, and Boomerang's trying to chat up Wonder Woman. I'd be the only man in Themyscira. It's like, no, there'll still be no men.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
So the dialogue was on point. Lots of fun little teases. Yeah, I have a lot to complain about. I agree with Connor's main complaint that the Eclipso thing is a little bit truncated.
It's just some general pacing issues.
Yeah.
But overall, it's pretty solid.
Yeah, I think for the first event of the Rebirth era, it's a solid entry. I mean, admittedly, it's probably going to pale in comparison to the ones that are going to come down the line when we
Like
actually
the real events.
Yeah.
Well, the Master's coming back to the table for that, so
We assume.
know.
Matt, I'm starting to suspect that you like Jeff Johns or something.
3 years ago this week, I got to meet him, and it was great. It's my crowning achievement. I had to chase him down off the floor.
This
of the
comes
comic.
5 minutes after he talks about his wedding.
Yeah, not his wedding day. It was meeting Jeff Johns was the crowning achievement of his life.
Again, my wife knows this about me.
I just like the idea that Matt came home, he got the photo framed, and he just like knocked a photo of his wife off the mantelpiece and was like, "This is going here."
Pete, I already told her that spot is reserved for the picture of me and Jeff Johns, so there was no picture there.
Oh dear. Okay.
You laugh as I look at my issue of the Flash that he signed, right next to my computer, right here. So, oh man.
Okay. Well, that'll take us on to the fourth and final one-shot leading up to JLA next month, and that is Justice League of America, Killer Frost, Rebirth, Issue 1, Steve Orlando and Jody Houser writing, and Mirka Andolfo on art. I feel like I just made up two words there. I think I pronounced them well enough, but those are new words to me.
Yeah, I've been seeing Andolfo's work a lot on... I've been reading through Bombshells lately.
Ah, right, okay.
It shows up a lot in that series.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, this was unique amongst these one-shots, and it made sense that this one was last, and it would be set after the event, but it's set after the event. It's basically... Batman's going to be taking Killer Frost with him, but Amanda Waller's basically putting up red tape and trying to keep her, in Belle Reve for a little while longer to try and prove that she's not worthy of getting to leave and go and do whatever she's going to do with Batman. And she tempts her with, like, oh, you need life force to survive. I'm going to tempt you with victims for like a couple of days because I'm corrupt as hell.
Yeah.
Hope that you kill someone so he can't take you.
I also took that as Killer Frost is the most powerful member I think she's ever had on the Suicide Squad, and she doesn't want to lose that. I mean, she brought Maxwell Lord down. She drained Superman in the
and she's only just acquired her as well, just before the event.
Yeah, exactly. So like she doesn't want a new toy to leave, and so she's gonna do everything she can. And I like that this is basically a snapshot issue where the last other ones, they were real good, but they felt like they weren't snapshots.
No, because the other ones were very much, here's the history of this character so you're up to speed. Whereas this one...
And we already got that.
Yeah, this one wasn't that. This one was just...
This one goes, no, you know who this is. Mm-hmm. You've just read an event with her and you understand from context who she is.
Yeah.
You don't need that.
I'm just wondering with the amount of shine that Killer Frost is getting... between the Flash TV show, right, with Caitlin Snow, and now through here she's priming up to be like a major member of the DCU, and I like when they do that with these smaller characters and turn them into something else. So
they elevate these kind of characters. So it wouldn't surprise me if we see Vibe in a prominent role at some point as well.
Well,
we had a few.
They did try. Yeah, they did try, but
maybe not as in his own book or whatever. I'm just thinking, I can see him being thrown in a team. It's baffling to me that Martian Manhunter is not a thing somewhere right now. Know what?
Yeah. Well,
if there's a crime of Rebirth, it's that Martian Manhunter has nothing.
Yeah, because he had his own book right before Rebirth.
See, you know what I would love is if they did like a set in like the 50s when Martian Manhunter was when he premiered, and he was doing like a noir, like his book was a noir style where he was a cop and he was just stuck in the 50s, and then at the end of that you get him now and he's like, trying to adapt to modern society.
Oh, he better be on the Justice League by the time Maxwell Lord comes back so that he can have like a mental battle with him.
Yeah.
I just want to see more of him in that noir setting, because whenever they light the cigars with the matches, you just see him back away, just subtly.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
But-
where was it? Okay, yeah, couple of standout
Frost.
moments for me in this issue.
We all know what the real standout moment is for you.
I'm getting to that in a minute.
Yep.
I wanted to mention something else that's more serious. I love when, like, so Killer Frost resists all the urges, and even our roommate, and we'll talk about our roommate in a minute. I say roommate, cellmate. Roommate. That makes it sound like casual. Oh, it's my roommate.
Oh man, I'd love to see those two in a sitcom.
Fire and Ice.
So
Fire and
good.
Ice, hot and cold, any of the above. But it's when, like, well, it's alright, you kind of did it, you kind of worked, and then, like, Batman's silhouette just from behind Waller just appears and is like, you failed, or she passed, or whatever he says.
Yeah.
It's time. And, you know, we get her leaving with Batman. But I, even though it's not so much that there's Batman in this, I just like this idea that Batman's sticking up for her because he witnessed good in her, and that Batman, and I think a lot of casual fans might forget this, is that Batman very much does believe in rehabilitation, and does believe in, like, you know, it's not about punishing people, it's about stopping them from doing bad. There's a big
That's
difference.
why they go to Arkham.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's why he's given Two-Face so many chances. Which I'm not counting All-Star in that, you know? But traditionally, anytime he leaves to do something, he tries to leave good Harvey Dent in charge. Yeah. And Two-Face manages to mess it up. So, but yeah, so it's in line.
I like that. I like that just as a sort of general Batman thing. But of course, the standout moment of this, and I did not think we'd be getting another.
Laughed like a madman when I read that name. I was just like, it's happening.
I didn't think we would get a mention of this legendary character so soon after the last appearance. But the
Mr. Blizzard, Minister Blizzard, right?
Wrong character, Matt. Wrong character.
Oh.
The cult of Cold Snap reigns supreme once more. Because Killer Frost's cellmate, what's her name? Heat something?
Heatstroke.
Heatstroke, there you go. She's an ex of Cold Snap, and she mentions Cold Snap. She's like, oh, you remind me of my ex. And Cold Snap gets mentioned, and I was not expecting it this soon. And I can't believe that after only discovering him for the first time like a month ago, he's been mentioned again. This is unprecedented.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
It's beautiful.
Cold Snap is he's on the way to being the fifth pillar.
The fifth ice pillar of the DCU. Oh dear. Oh.
Yeah, it was cool. We get to see like her stand up for Heatstroke when that crew comes for her in Killer Frost. I thought that was really cool. And then even when she gets let out and you see them pull the bomb out from her neck, I was like, oh man, that was kind of brutal. So that's some great moments.
Yeah, and you see there's a good page at the end that it shows how she's kind of surviving without just draining people's life force. She's just taking a little bit from different people. Just this person tapped me in the shoulder. Oh, I'll take a little 1%
enough
from
to
you.
get by.
Yeah, just enough to get by.
Yeah. So do we think Firestorm's going to be playing a role soon? Or
maybe.
is that too far off?
Well, do you think we're going to get a Ronnie and Caitlin romance?
Well, I mean, so traditionally that's what Killer Frost thing was. She was so driven to crime because, she has this hunger and it's how she survives. But she can absorb as much as she wants from Firestorm because he's the nuclear man. He's constantly...
I can see it.
Like, she can't actually drain him. So when they did the Sterling... I think it was Sterling Gates that did the Thing issue. That's what drove her, is I have to get to Firestorm because he's the only one that can feed me and not be negatively, affected by it. So
now you mention it, I think Firestorm actually fits the team. Like, I feel like if they introduce him
I do too.
in the third arc, like it would actually fit in with that team. This team of like B-listers.
Maybe that's even why they're cause obviously this is Orlando as well as that,
Yeah.
and maybe that's why they're showing us Heatstroke here. It's like, hey, little tease.
that's what I got from that too. And you could do Ronnie and Jason. It doesn't have to be Professor Stein. They've tried that before. So and he's on is he on Legends? Yeah. So it fits in with what they want to do right now with the synergy between shows and characters. So, but yeah, I find it hard to think that they're just gonna let Killer Frost or just Frost now because she doesn't want to be a killer.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, she'll have to.
Yeah.
Savior Frost?
Yeah, you could. Just call her Frost. It works.
Miss Frost.
She's called
that's what I was just gonna go with.
Miss Frost.
It's got to have something before. It's got to have a title still.
Yeah. I don't know. I've got nothing witty. I'm trying to think of something funny to say, but it's not happening. All right. I think that was. I think my favourite of these four one shots though might still be the Ray, but I think this was good in a different way.
I really like this one. Yeah, I like this one because it was so different.
It is harder to compare it to the other three because the other three are all kind of level footing where they're all doing the exact same job of telling me who this is, whereas this is telling me why you should care about the reinvention.
Yeah.
So it's a different job entirely.
That said, all four were really strong. Like it's hard to pick a weak link in there. So
well, it's funny because I think if like 6 months ago, you said to me, "Oh, there's going to be a Justice League team of Vixen, the Ray, the Atom, and Killer Frost, and you're going to care about them." I might have been like, will I?
Yeah.
Will I really care about those four?
See, I always like when whatever comic company does it puts the band of misfits together.
Oh yeah.
That's why I always drawn to the Outsiders when it was Nightwing and Jade, and it was kind of Teen Titans-esque, but not. And you just wanted to see how they all work together.
Hey, you're looking at a massive Joss Whedon fan whose main thing is to put a misfit of like family together to save the world. So it's just well in my wheelhouse. It's just with comic book characters, you've just got this preconceived opinion on a lot of them. If you know them as they're D-listers and that's an F-lister. Like I don't care about those. I'm never going to care about him or her. And then someone makes you care, and it's like, oh right, okay, anyone can be written well.
Yeah,
well, that's why I feel like if they did Justice League Detroit now in the age of the internet, where people can look up who these characters are, I think it would have been way more successful. Versus back in the 80s when they did it, and people are like, who's Vibe? Where'd he come from?
Honestly, I think something as simple as DC Wiki, if you've ever been on there, which is just DC Wikipedia, it is so useful for new readers. If a name gets mentioned, you don't know who it is, go look them up. Read that paragraph.
It takes you 30 seconds to find the page,
and quite quickly you'll feel up to speed, and you'll know.
It is almost like there isn't an excuse anymore for if you want to know something like that, because it is so easy to find.
Yeah, especially with the bigger companies, because the history's there, and there's people willing to throw that in there. So
but back to the point, I'm actually really excited about JLA coming up now, thanks to Orlando. Thanks to these one shots, because while none of them I don't think were like, oh, this was great, this was fantastic. They were all like, this is solid. I like these characters, and now it's like I'm excited to see them all interact with each other. And
Joe, it's funny, every time I look at the cover for the Rebirth in the first issue next month, I keep forgetting Black Canary's on the team. Every time I look at it, I'm like, Black Canary's on the team as well. That's right.
Oh yeah.
So that's cool.
How about that?
But there you go. That's the Killer Frost one shot. That'll take us on to Detective Comics 949, James Tynion IV and Marguerite Bennett, writing, and Ben Oliver on art. And the art was gorgeous again. I'll say that first.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything new to say about the art compared to last time. It's just still gorgeous.
Yeah.
Some of the I think it's what I love most is he draws a really good Kate Kane facial expression. There's a couple of times it's in the flashback at the start where she's just about to like fight Batman, and she sort of like has that she's like gnawing her teeth kind of face, and it just looks really good.
Let's do this face.
Yeah. And then the other one that I really like is after she uses the shotgun towards the end on the monster, and she's like, "Oh, you don't approve Batman?" He's like, "No." He's like, "Yeah, I don't care." That pose with her with a shotgun over her shoulder, just kind of being like, my method. Words.
Well, I like that it's defining her as her own character. That's what this whole two-story arc was. She's not just one of Batman's sidekicks or partners. She is her own person, like independent. She was going to be Batwoman, independent of Batman when this all started.
And it sets up that she has this slightly different rule with guns. I mean, she's still clearly not a killer. She's not going to go around murdering people. But she's not against grabbing a shotgun and blasting it in a monster's face if that's the tool that's sitting around at the time.
She is more like in that. They keep in this issue saying she's not a soldier. but she kind of is, where she will use what's available to her. She won't have that limit.
Well, I think the point though is that like for her father in the colony, she's not enough of a soldier. For Batman, she is more of a soldier compared to him. But the point kind of is that she is kind of on that line. She's right in between the two, where she is a Bat character in her morals and stuff, but she will use her other techniques. She's okay with shooting someone in the leg properly.
I took the she's not a soldier. She doesn't follow orders. She follows her own orders. And as a soldier, you can't have that. That was the whole point of what was his name, Colony Prime, coming. And even her dad's like, oh, he never listened. You know, like he deserved what happened to him. So I like that she doesn't completely follow Batman's orders, but she doesn't follow the colony's orders. She, Kate works for Kate.
Yeah, she's
like
very independent.
Yeah.
And then she'll work in conjunction, I think, with either. And I think we'll start to see that in her own series, is she, has this partnership with her dad, but also with Batman.
Well,
so
let's explain that a little bit. I think partnerships maybe selling it a little bit stronger than it's argued. It's more of a Silence of the Lambs-esque relationship.
Understanding.
Yeah, where he's still going to be behind a cell, but he's going to help her. And his one condition is that he wants to like see her without the mask. He wants to see his daughter because she doesn't want to see him. She's like, don't care about you. You're awful.
Well, and I love that because he's at the end of the day he's really not the villain. The way he went about things was completely wrong and ended up in the storyline death of Robin or Red Robin, and but he's doing this because the League of Shadows threat is looming. And he wants to save the Earth, but not the way Batman would.
Yeah, I also think, obviously, we know we have the League of Shadows stuff coming up next, because I believe the next issue is the oversized prologue.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting that he'll be around for that, so he'll be able to kind of gloat, but then be interrogated as well. They'll be around for the repercussions of what he was warning about.
Yep. Now, is Batwoman getting a rebirth?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So this could have easily been the rebirth issue. It
actually does leave me a little concerned that the rebirth issue will feel a little wasted,
redundant?
like some of the others.
I actually don't think that. Joe, what it makes me think? It makes me think it's going to do the Green Arrow thing, where it's just going to be issue 1.
Yeah.
It probably will. I hope it does. But at that point, then I question, why not just start at 1?
Because it's the thing, they've been given rebirth issues to most of them.
Well, I thought if they weren't doing a rebirth, this is the de facto rebirth, and
it's the same with JLA. I'm pretty sure the first one of that, it won't feel like a separate thing from the rest of the book. I mean, sure, it might be the forming the team issue, but that's still essentially just issue 1.
Or issue 0, if you will.
Yeah.
I don't think JLA is going to do the let's do issue 1 in the rebirth and then you know what I mean? Where that was de facto issue 1 and then issue 1 was issue 2. I think JLA you can pick up, let's say you don't get the rebirth, you'll be able to pick up JLA 1 and it's going to feel like issue 1. Whereas I think with like what Pete's saying with Batwoman, the rebirth's going to be issue 1 going forward.
I can see it happening with both. I think Batwoman's definitely more likely, but I can see it happening with both.
Batwoman's far more. I think I'm with Matt on JLA, where I feel like you say, it'll probably just be putting the team together, but that won't matter. If you just start at 1, you just go, okay, team's together, let's just go with it. You don't need to have read that.
Yep.
Oh, I see what you're saying, but I would still call that issue 1 though. I still think putting the team together is issue 1.
I have to make room now for a Batwoman book, because if this is the team working on it, and I really like these 2 issues, this is a book I have to read now.
Yeah, Tynion's sticking around for the first arc of Batwoman, and then Marguerite's going off on her own for the rest.
Yeah, and I think I said it on the last issue. I'd love to know how much of this was Bennett and how much was Tynion. I mean, let's say the first arc, it's not going to make any difference. But in the long run, has Bennett got enough of a handle on Kate? Or is it too much of Tynion?
Yeah, I think it feels different enough from what I've read from Tynion that it, could easily just be Bennett.
You can
by
feel
herself.
her influence.
Yeah.
Because obviously, again, they're both just listed as writers, so it's hard to tell how much is each of them.
But I feel we got the tease of her origin with her mom and sister dying, and then whatever happened. I remember reading those issues when Rucka was writing the character, and then J.H. Williams took over, and that was built in too. So, you know, they have a foundation there, and that's the way they're going forward.
They have one of those Batwoman by Rucka trades, you know, the thick meaty ones have been doing coming out in the next couple of months. So I'm probably going to pick that up and get some background.
No, I really like this issue. I really like this two-parter. Like we said, I think it's Kate was already interesting, but I think it's set her up as her own thing, where she is still very much a back character. She's still going to be, you know, the second co-lead of Detective Comics. She's still going to be around there, but it's going to have her go off and do her own personal journey where she is dealing with her father to take down these more worldwide. It's kind of like how Nightwing went off to do his own thing, or you know he's doing his own thing in Bloodhaven, but he's still coming back to Gotham when Batman needs him because they're a family.
You know, it does actually feel like all of Detective Comics up to this point has been leading to this, because that whole first arc kind of boiled down to her relationship with her father.
Yep.
And then obviously we got the Monster Men stuff, which is starting to play into it as well.
Yep. Well, it's just well-formed comics. It
is.
You'll be able to look at it and goes, oh, that's Tynion's run from start to finish. You know, because of all the...
there's clear... Sometimes there's writers that you look at it and go, they're kind of just going arc by arc and taking it as it comes. I mean, I know for a fact Snyder speaks how he did that for Batman. He went, right, what story have I got next? Whereas this feels like, no, this is one long story, and it's been planned out in advance.
And I always prefer that when it comes to comics, because they're episodic in one place or the other. And I remember the first time I read that was in Johns' Flash, where someone had come back. I think it was Pied Piper. You hadn't seen him in forever. And that story continued on throughout. And I was just like, oh, wow, comics can do this. So, and now we have this, and I am really enjoying it, which is so weird because I wasn't down with the Batwoman book. I was just like, oh, that's a book. Maybe I'll read the Rebirth and then not go forward. But after these two issues, I'm really invested to see where the character goes.
We need a counter for things Matt said he wasn't going to read, and then completely changed his mind by the time it came
Well, because
out.
it's like this. I don't want to drop anything I'm already reading to pick it up. So anytime something new comes out, I'm just like, oh, I'll just read the Rebirth.
Well, Matt,
you know,
if it makes you feel better, this is on week 3 next month, so it's not on the week 2 or 4.
That's still an extra $3, Pete. I'm trying to get it down. Like, I'm getting yelled at routinely for spending too much on comics.
Yeah, it's going up to 4.
Drop a Marvel book, you're fine. Right.
I already did!
Drop another one.
When it goes up to $4, just sell your digital code to Pete.
Yeah.
Just he'll take it off your hands.
True. We'll do that.
No, problem solved.
Aye. Good issue of Detective though. I liked it a lot.
Yes, very good.
Alright.
The blacks and the reds, like those colors pop so well.
Yeah, it's even down to the cover there. Like even Batman, where the red stands out on him.
Do you know what I like about it though? I like that it's kind of watered down, washed out blacks and reds though. It's got a very muted kind of overall look, and I think that looks really nice.
Watercolor.
Watercolor, yeah. Watercolor.
It never feels like it's in your face.
Yeah.
As, oh, look at how smart this color scheme is. It's all like, oh, this just works.
But it gives it a mood. It gives it a feeling throughout.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is cool. So that'll take us on to Action Comics 972, written by Dan Jurgens and art by Steven Segovia. I just thought of a joke I was going to make in the last.
Go ahead.
Like 2 weeks ago. You're all trying, Matt. I was going to crack a joke about Mark Waid's long 5-year run that he's going to do in Cold Snap, but it's fine. The moment's passed.
Yeah, he's not. He's not coming back to DC right now.
One day, Matt, if Vince McMahon can get Bret Hart in a WWE ring, then DC can get Mark Waid.
I say this wearing my Punk jacket. I can see Punk coming back to WWE before Wade comes back to DC. And people who are in the know, because Connor's looking at us weird, he's laughing. People in the know will know how crazy that is. So I think they're along the same lines.
To be fair, after that UFC fight, Matt, I think Punk's going to come back a lot sooner than he thought he was going to.
Well, he's still very hard-headed, as shown by that fight.
Anyway, we're tangenting.
Didn't he do some comics, or am I mixing it up with someone
else?
He
did some Marvel.
Oh, okay.
He did a really good Thor.
See, I know stuff.
He knows things about things. Anyway, Action Comics 972. This was the conclusion to the Men of Steel arc. This Started off, of course, Superman had lost his powers on this planet because there was no yellow sun, and Lex was helping him fight. But they ended up they decide to split up. They take on Godslayer and his crony. I can't remember his name. Separately.
Cade.
Sorry.
Right? Is it Cade? What say?
Yeah, I think so. That sounds about right.
That doesn't even sound familiar to me, but I'll take your word for it. So they split up, they fight,
Zayd.
and then
Zayd.
yeah, I knew it was a Z. I knew it was a Z. I knew it was a Z in there.
Well, you
You
should
should
have
have
said that,
shouldn't you?
Connor.
I'm going to strangle a ginger tonight. Right.
I want to point out before you pass this is like, again, Jurgens making Lex such a prick, where he's like, Superman without powers, total liability. Like, this is the man that just stopped you from dying, and you're calling him a liability.
It's right. I love it that even as the issue goes on and Lex grows to respect Superman, it's still like he's still a dick about it.
Yeah.
Of course he is. He's like Slither, but of course he's a dick
And I just
about
love
it.
that Jurgens nails that. I read liability and I laughed, going like, this last 2 issues, you wouldn't be standing here without that liability.
Yeah,
So-
he's got the voices down for sure. I think that's very, very clear. And obviously, the fight ensues, and Superman convinces, look, listen to me, before you kill Lex, let's not do this. If I need to convince you, why don't you look into my future? You've looked into his, look into mine. And that's how he ends up winning this whole argument, is that the Godslayer looks into his future. We don't get to see what it is. Well, we do kind of get to see what it is at the end, but we'll get to that. We'll save that for the end. Yeah, we'll save that to the end. But we don't see what it is at the time, and he looks into it, and he just turns around and basically says, yeah, you're good. Yeah, full faith in you, Kryptonian. You're good.
Yep.
We're going to go on our way. Bye-bye. And he boom tubes him
Yeah,
back to...
because Superman tells him,
And
he's like, look.
also gives him his cape back somehow.
Yes.
Well,
Because look, if you look at that there, Superman's obviously he used his cape in the fight, and he hasn't had it, and he stood there while he's looking into his future, stood there with no cape. And the next panel you see Superman on, he's coming through the portal, and he's got his cape, and it's cool.
Well, it cuts ahead.
put it on before he left.
Yeah, it's not in real time. It's a comic book, Connor.
No, because he's like, prepare yourselves. Like, you're going now.
It can still be a cut in time. It doesn't have to be the next second.
I know, but it doesn't feel that way when it flows like it
Connor,
is the next bit.
I read this as the last book before we started recording. I didn't even pick up on that, so it's fine. Like,
That bothered me.
I didn't even care. You're being pernickety.
but I like what Superman did, where he can't push it out with him, so he actually talks with him. And,
Yeah, he talks him through it.
And he's like, look, if you look into my future, you'll see that I will do everything in my power to stop Lex from becoming, the next Darkseid. And you have to believe that. And that, he talks about how he investigated him, found nothing. And that plays in later when they show back up in Metropolis and Lex and Superman shake hands. And I was like, I like that Lex does admit to him that it's kind of hard to be Superman. So it's a mutual respect, like Pete was saying.
Yeah, they have that nice moment on top of the... Is it the planet? It's top of a building.
I think it is. You can see the globe next behind them.
As top of a building in Metropolis, I just assume it's the planet. Typically.
Yeah, it is
It's a
the
fair
Dallas building
assumption.
there.
But in this case, I think it actually is.
But they have that nice moment where they end up shaking hands and they agree to a fresh start. And Lex, I like the Lex kind of goes, look, I've been thinking about this. The only explanation for you being around is that you're from another universe. Because he brings up Forever Evil. I fought the crime syndicate.
Ultraman.
Yeah. So I'm familiar with this idea of alternate universes, and that's the only explanation. And he even ponders for a lot, like, so man, my version, the other me in your Earth must have been a right evil asshole. And I think that was a nice bit of like intelligence on his
I
part.
like that. Superman was kind of like, something like that, to where it's kind of seeding towards the next storyline.
Yeah, and so that was cool. Lex gives the cape back to the planet, which harkens back to the issue of Justice League
52,
which sort of bled into Rebirth, but it. Because it came out late, but it was there, and that they've got it in a case because the Daily Planet had a case where they had New 52 Superman's cape on display as a sort of tribute, and Lex decided, you know what, I'll honour him in my own way rather than just trying to be him, and that's it's a nice touch.
So I'm also interested to see what Lex does next. Like, what direction is he going to head in now, if without the cape?
purple and green, baby. Purple and green.
I'm just gonna say that, Pete.
I mean, that's the logical assumption.
It does, oh, man. It does make me look forward to that turn because it's gonna have to come.
Oh yeah,
you can't have just good Luthor.
He's like
it's going to make it all the more painful, isn't it?
And that's what I'm looking forward to.
Like good at the minute.
Yeah. Before we get to that last page, I did want to just talk about the arc overall. I will say this: my favorite part of Action Comics run so far is still the sort of the Lois stuff in the middle, the like the two-parter where she goes back to the planet. I think this arc suffered a little bit from the same thing that the first arc with Doomsday suffered from. In the first half of this issue, I kind of was just reading it and I sort of realised halfway through, I'm like, how long have we been on this planet kind of like fighting and debating with these people now? Because, it's been a good 3 issues.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I mean, has it? Because they only got stranded there on this one at the end of the last issue.
Yeah,
they were there for the whole issue last time.
Yeah.
No, they went to, because there's 2 different planets, aren't they? Because they went to their planet first.
It doesn't matter if it's 2 different planets. It feels the exact same.
I get what Pete's saying, but it's not. Because in this issue, you get to see Fate Clark, or Weird Clark, finally sees John, and.
Oh yeah. I'm just talking
before whole scene.
Before we get to that though, I want to talk about just because the same thing would happen with Doomsday, where it was like, oh, they've been fighting for like 3 issues before it finally kind of let up and it did different things, and I was feeling the same thing here, where I was like, oh, we've been here kind of just sort of in this same situation for a couple of issues now, and I think both arcs have suffered from that a little bit.
See, I'm not sure I agree, because the Doomsday arc, I feel like, it's just Doomsday, cool, whereas this was actually, there was a moral dilemma to it. There was an interesting debate alongside the
I agree. I'm just saying, I felt it as I was reading that. I felt like, we've been doing this for a while. I feel like there wasn't enough variety in that sense. But like I say, it's not a huge thing, but it's definitely one of those factors that, like, as much as Jurgens is really getting the voices right, Action Comics is definitely the lesser of the 2 Superman books.
We know this, as every time a new one comes out, it usually tops our... they're 2 different gears. The way I look at them is Superman's, the top. This is where big things are going to happen. And Action's kind of not the day in the life, but yeah, like there's 2 different gears. And I can appreciate that.
They are. It's just, it was kind of like, I think now because we've had like the smaller arcs in the middle, but we've had the 2 big arcs, and the 2 big arcs for me kind of suffered from the same issue. I'm kind of expecting that with the bigger arcs in Action now, which isn't a huge deal, but it's just, especially since it's double shipping and we're getting through it quicker.
Like I said, I don't think I felt it because of the actual interesting conversation and dilemmas and relationships that were alongside it in this one that I felt were missing in the Doomsday arc. But in this one, I didn't feel it at all because of that.
But yeah, Doomsday to me was a representative of Doomsday itself, to where Doomsday is just a threat to hit and how do you deal with it.
Yeah.
Whereas here, there's actually more to think about. And about Lex, and even you had Clark going, or Fate Clark going, well, we'll just let him die. Like, what's so wrong if he's that bad?
No, there is, but it was just, once the fighting, because that stops and then the fighting starts. And we get some interesting narration, but it was just kind of, it just felt like it went on a little bit.
I also like that we have LaCall and Zayd now, that if Superman ever needs help from, intergalactic stuff, we have some new supporting characters. I always like when Superman gets a friend.
I guess I would phrase it this way: Superman's doing really interesting and new things, whereas Action just feels really like old school and typical kind of comic booky stuff. It isn't necessarily bad.
I'm just glad I have 2 really good Superman books to read. That's all.
Yeah.
I save them for the end, and I'm never disappointed. So.
Cool. All right. There we go, that's Action Comics. Oh, actually, no, but it's not Action Comics. We did talk about the last page. So we get
Fake Clark as well.
Oh, and Fake Clark, yeah. We'll do Fake Clark first. There's just one scene with him. He basically realises that Lois is lying after he meets John, and Lois basically shoos him away as quickly as humanly possible. He's like, no.
Says that it's her nephew, and that, It
wasn't even nephew, it was cousin's son.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, it was cousin's son. He's my cousin's son, which is like second cousin, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And then we get the last page.
Yeah, last page was obviously
threat of things to come.
Yeah, Zayd says to LaCall, so what did you see? And he's like, Oh no, I don't think we have to worry about Lex anymore. Unfortunately, Superman though, he's got a lot of stuff he has to worry about, and we get this this page of all these like teases of future things. Some of it obvious, obviously we know about Mr. Oz, and that's there. We see
Cyborg Superman.
See Cyborg Superman, which is interesting because obviously that's in Supergirl right now.
Huh?
Yep.
The other thing we see, of course, is we see the whole Lex's Doomsday thing, but we see Superman standing next to him. Like, Lex is defeated as Doomsday, and Superman's holding the mother box, which is obviously probably the main thing that let him go, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'll trust him. It's fine. I don't have to kill him.
You mean Darkseid, not Doomsday.
Did I say Doomsday? Sorry, it's because we're talking about Doomsday.
Yeah,
okay. Darkseid. And then the other couple that are a little bit weirder, or the other one that's a little bit weirder, is John looks like he's in trouble.
Yeah.
It's very vague.
Superboy outfit.
And his Superboy outfit, but it's very vague. We don't really see what the danger is. He just clearly is in trouble.
Yeah. And then obviously you've got Fake Clark is there as well.
And Fake Clark, yeah. That's less of a...
What's the one next to Cyborg Superman?
It looks like the one guy John's created that we got at the end. Oh, what's his name? He's from the alternate Earth. Shoot. People are yelling. I can't remember. Anyway.
Just because obviously we didn't mention that one. It was just the one other one.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting for me is it kind of implies all this is coming up relatively soon. Because Lacal says, Superman, he does have to worry. So it's like, okay, he probably hasn't got that much time then.
Ulysses. Nailed it. Before Google could go. Yeah, it kind of looks like Ulysses, but it might not be.
I kind of hope it isn't.
Me too. But
that wasn't
that's who my brain went to.
Yeah, that wasn't a great story.
Yeah, I kind of blanked on that because of it was...
That was really
kind of
frustrating when it was like, John's just coming back to Superman. Oh, this is exciting. And then it was just like, it's still kind of iffy. And...
Well, because I feel like he quit halfway through going, we're just going to reboot everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, he probably made that choice. He's like, you know what, this version of Superman sucks.
I can't save it. We're gonna kill him and bring back old time.
Yeah. Okay.
But the reason I was saying I think it's coming sooner rather than later is obviously Oz we know is stuff with that's happening in.
Well, it depends what parts you're talking about. I don't think the Lex's Darkseid's coming soon. I think that's still. If we ever even see that story, and we probably will, because they like to bring this stuff back.
Well, I just mean we've got the Oz stuff coming up in March, right?
Oh no, the rest of everything else there, I agree, is soon. But I think the Darkseid stuff's far away.
I don't think it's that far away. That's what I'm saying. I think all of these being so relatively soon, I think that will be after these, but not as far away as we might be thinking.
Depends. I say just bring them on. I don't care when. Just
it depends what we're thinking, though. You don't know what I'm thinking.
Isn't that a ginger power? Mind reading?
We try to keep it secret.
Oh. Oops.
Thanks for that, Matt.
You're welcome. Don't look him in the eyes, guys. It's kind of like Jericho and Deathstroke. Jump right into you. Lack of a soul tries to steal yours. It does.
Oh dear.
What's next, Pete?
Wonder Woman, number 15. Greg Rucka writing and Liam Sharp on art. This is a present day story. Wonder Woman is in a mental asylum or a mental hospital. And the doctors are all sort of joking because she thinks she's Wonder Woman. Ha 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 ha.
I gotta say, it already has better security than Arkham. The fact that she can't get out.
So yeah, this is kind of a bridging issue, and there's a lot of different things going on. There's so we see Steve, and we see he sort of meets up with Etta and Barbara Ann, and they're sort of debating, so who are these people that are attacking us? Who's the bad guys here? And she explains it's this group, was it God Watch? Yeah, God Watch. And she used to be a member, and they've got all these different teammates, and they're after Diana and Themyscira and everything. They're working with Veronica Cale. We see a bit of her. Then this God Watch show up and try and take them, and Barbara Ann stays behind and is like, take me to Cale. She's going to try and negotiate or something, yeah. And but we see Steve and Etta knock the twins out in the back and get out of Dodge. And they go and meet up. The ending of this show is them meeting up with Ferdinand.
Ferdinand.
What?
Is that the character's name?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were making a Ferdinand the Bull's reference.
Nah.
Like, I thought you'd be funny. Oh,
No,
man.
I looked him up. It's Ferdinand.
Okay. All right, cool.
He he's a minotaur, but he doesn't call. Actually, I should have noted this down. He doesn't call himself a minotaur though, because he's not from the same place that minotaurs come from. But he's got the same kind. Sorry.
Yeah.
He's a what? Sorry.
No, we're just saying where minotaurs come from.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. He's not from there. He's from another place, and the name's like Minotaur, but it's from the other. The start of it's different.
So was this from Rucka's other run then? Because this character's new to me.
I don't.
Yeah, me too.
He's new to me as well. I don't know if he's from Rucka's run, but he used to be the cook at the Themyscira embassy.
I thought it was probably from Rucka's run.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
And he obviously is a bullhead and a human sort of.
Yeah, because obviously
I'm gonna have to
when he
look him
popped
up.
up,
That sounds cool.
I was questioning who he was. Obviously, there's a lot of Greek gods and stuff in Wonder Woman,
Mhm.
so I was linking him to Hephaestus. So he's got a lot of So I was thinking it was either something to do with him, one of his sons, maybe even him directly. I wasn't sure, but I was speculating that.
But then how would Edda, knowing that the patrons haven't showed themselves, why would they show themselves to Edda? But
Hephaestus has always kind of done his own thing.
Yeah, he does.
So that's kind of why I thought, maybe.
Could.
But if it's
Or
just
just how he was
Ferdinand,
revealing himself.
then cool.
You guys are familiar with the story of Ferdinand, right? Oh, it's like a Spanish kid story. He's a bull, but doesn't want to be like the rest of the bulls. He just wants to sit around and smell flowers. And it's all about being yourself. I loved that book as a kid. So that's why I thought, oh, this is a story Pete also knows, so he's going to call him Ferdinand the Bull.
I'm assuming that's probably where the name has come from, though.
It probably is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But
it makes
no,
some
no,
sense.
I've never heard of it before.
But also fits in with Rucka because it is about being yourself and being true to who you are. So, you know.
Yeah. It was because obviously it's the big ending of the book, and I'm like, I have no idea who this is. I'm going to go and look this up.
Well, yeah, I didn't
should
think we
have
were
done that.
supposed to know. I thought it was meant to be like, oh, who is it? And that's why I was speculating, to do with Hephaestus like I was. I didn't realize, I could have just looked this up and it was actually someone.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So.
But again, it shows why Rucka is awesome and that he ties things in and out. And I don't want to say it's a roller coaster ride, but it's definitely he has us, and is leading us along the way through this path. And like even Godwatch as a concept is such a Rucka idea that you have this group. From what I gather is they're trying to contact the gods for whatever reason. That's why they're called Godwatch.
Yeah, which is actually the other big thing that happens in the book. We actually get a scene in Themyscira.
Oh,
And the poison tree that was there, that poisoned Diana all those years ago, has reappeared. And on Themyscira, they see this as like a line in the sand.
Omen.
Yeah, there's an omen. They're coming. We're going to stand their ground here. They're getting ready for a fight. Something bad's happening there. Meanwhile, Diana's in a wheelchair in a mental hospital.
talking to a snake that comes in and out of her poison bite.
Yes.
But
Also, Sharp's layouts absolutely kill it. Obviously, the first few pages we have all the brick lines, like the inside of a cell, they're like identical, which is the layout for all the panels, and then we have that shot of what's going on inside her head, and it's all just kind of fragmented and exploding outwards.
And it's a tree, is it not?
It's the tree. It is the tree as well, yeah. But it kind of bleeds into it's like what's actually inside her head. It kind of bleeds into the tree at the back. It's like, this is really cool.
Yeah. No. I mean, his stuff's been great throughout his whole half of the run. I say half because obviously he's only doing all the
So,
the even numbers.
And I've also noticed
odd
that
numbers.
the variant covers are now done by Jenny Friesen now.
Yes.
And I definitely, as someone who was like, they're just variant covers. Does it matter? I think they're a lot better than what we were getting before.
I like them. Yeah, they're really nice.
Oh, I've picked up a few of them, whereas normally I don't pick up variants. So
that said, though,
I double dipped and picked up the one for 11 when I was in my shop the other day. Because I was like, that's a cool cover. I'm just gonna get it.
Yeah, the main cover on this one's quite nice as well. Though it's Diana in a straitjacket, so it's got a really cool kind of
with a crazy smile on her face.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is she become? Like, was her like? What's the girl version of Bromance?
Crazy like a fox.
What's the girl version of Bromance?
Girlationship? I don't know. I try to portmanteau that just couldn't.
I'll just use bromance. Her bromance with Harley Quinn from the events rubbed off on her, and she's going crazy. That's what this is implying. She'll be putting on the makeup next issue. Just you wait and see.
But it's a great issue.
That was a good issue. I don't know. I liked the last. Well, I say the last one. Obviously, the last one was a good one. I mean, the last present day issue.
I get that. I feel like this was a good issue, but then the art elevated it into just great for me. Like with all the extra little touches.
Oh, I think the art's great, but I think just from a story perspective, it's very much in between major point. You know, it's like we often talk about TV, how you get the moving the pieces around the chessboard episodes, where you've got the big episode, then you've got the one that moves things around to set up the next big one. That's what this issue felt like to me. It felt like it was just setting up all, because it was like so many different. We only see Diana twice. We see Themyscira once. We see Steve and them twice. You know, we see Veronica Cale once. It was lots of little scenes, all building up for the next sort of thing.
It's moving things into place where they need to be.
Yeah. Obviously, it was all solid. I have no complaints, but it was just in terms of where it falls in the story. It's the kind of issue where, on its own, it's very connective to tissue. When you read this as a trade, it'll just be flow through.
It is also weird that this is one of the ones that essentially is single shipping for all intents and purposes of each story. Because we've got to wait a whole month now to get any more on this, which is weird compared to. I think we mentioned a few weeks ago how sometimes these connective issues feel like they're a bit wasted when they're a whole month apart, but we haven't been feeling that with Rebirth. Yeah, because there's something just 2 weeks away. But this one, I didn't feel like it was wasted because it was so engrossing in the way it was presented in the art.
I was loving Wonder Woman right now. It's
pretty good.
I like the alternating between, and we got that great Barbara Ann issue, which was one of my favorites of last year. Yeah. So,
are we going to go an issue of Wonder Woman without Matt bringing that issue up?
Probably not,
because I really loved it.
I can just hear people. I can hear people at home going, "Matt, we know you loved that issue. You've said it the last 10 weeks."
Oh, it lays the foundation though for what happens here with her and Godwatch, and clearly what happened there led to her going to Godwatch.
Oh yeah,
which then led to her becoming Cheetah.
Matt, I have no doubt that we're going to get the Cheetah origin.
It's so circular, isn't it? Though
it is.
But no, we're still getting the Cheetah origin, though, right? Like in the next, if not the next past arc, then the next one after that. We're so getting.
It'll be another like one shot like we had for the Barbara Ann issue. It'll just be an extra one slotted in somewhere.
And it might be my new favorite one to bring up every time we talk about Wonder Woman. So. But I just like Connor said, it's all circular, and they're all again just like I mentioned with Rebirth. Everything's weaving in and out of each other spectacularly right now.
Yeah,
and it's just telling a full story. And Wonder Woman's doing that by itself. So
I think what Wonder Woman's also doing really well for me is that it's making me care a bit more about our supporting cast. You know, like I'm liking Steve a lot more than I have in the past in this run. Yeah. You know, it is pretty
it helps
cool.
He actually has a character. He's not just, Justice League liaison.
He's doing something.
Yeah, Barbara Ann's a more interesting character because she is like sort of like cured again, and she's trying to rehabilitate, and she's trying to.
Oh, it's definitely the most I've ever been interested in Barbara.
Yeah, Etta Candy. I never even knew she was a major character until now. So, the fact that she's there, and they brought back Veronica Cale as a villain, because that's another thing is when you think about Wonder Woman villains, it's kind of outside of Cheetah. It's kind of. Baron?
Yeah, it is.
Giganta. That's one.
But you asked that for Superman or Batman, which are on the same level in terms of where they stand as the
I can list 20.
DC. Exactly.
So that's fair. So they're setting up this whole Godwatch team, and I can't remember. One of them was like Dr. Cyber or something like that, which was pretty cool. So. But there you go. That'll take us on to The Flash, issue 15. Joshua Williamson writing and Carmine Di Giandomenico on art. And this is The Flash stopping the rogues in another country. Of course, it turns out to be... Because we know from the last issue that they're secretly still in Central City. But he's stopping the rogues in this the other country. Costa Rica?
Porto Maltese.
There you go. Yep. I took a stab in the dark at a hot country. And what? And they're stealing stuff from a museum, blah 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 blah, normal stuff.
Well,
and
what's cool is he gives this whole history of Culture Maltese, which I've always just heard a name, and how they had a civil war and stuff was plundered, but they brought it all back, melted into this statue of Hermes, who is the god of thieves. So of course the rogues are going to want to steal this.
Yeah.
You know, so they're like, hey, hand over your stuff. No one's going to be hurt. And here comes Barry.
Well, hold on now. I think that's jumping the gun a little bit, because what I really like about all this rogue stuff at the start, before Barry shows up, is they're all doing their own thing with their own power sets or whatever they do.
Yep.
And Trickster's keeping time, because they know how long it'll take Flash to get there from Central City.
Yep.
And he's like, right, we have a minute. Oh wait, no, maybe less than that. Then Flash comes in, and it's just this really great entrance. And then we got a good 3-4 pages of Barry running around and fighting them all in various ways. And then he realizes the ruse, because Captain Cold grabs someone, and he's like, wait, Captain Cold's left-handed or right-handed, whatever the opposite was.
I fought him enough to know Leonard Snart's right-handed.
Yeah.
So what's up?
And turns out, obviously, it's Mirror Master's the only one that's actually there, and he's manipulating all this. They're all mirror things. And Flash runs around and smashes them all, and I love that Mirror Master's like, look, we've fought a lot of times, Flash. I know you're going to smash all my mirrors. I've learnt a new trick. And he forms the mirror monster out of all the broken glass. And it's just this ridiculous comic booky but fun, over the top, silly,
this giant Flash
greatness.
It's so cool.
It's cool. And obviously he deals with it all, and he runs back to Central City because he realises, oh crap, this was all a ruse. Those damn rogues. And he runs back to Central City. And
they've done their business.
They've done multiple things, though. It's not just the rogues have went and done something. They've split up, and each one of them, like Cold's done a robbery here, Trickster's done something here, so on, so on. And that's kind of the cliffhanger of the issue, is like, wait, they've actually thought of a new plan. Like, how do I stop them all when they've split up? They're not working together. I mean, they're working together, but they're not in the same location. They're all doing separate jobs.
They've separated.
And that's the thing. If I really enjoyed this issue, if I was going to make one complaint, and it's only really because I'm thinking about it, it would be that the last issue ended with the cliffhanger or the reveal that, oh wait, the rogues aren't actually there, and this entire issue is Barry realizing that, so we don't actually get any of advancement in that sense.
But in a way, I like that we know already, because it makes that whole that first section with just the rogues is almost half the book, almost.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
And so it makes it more fun when it's like, oh, we know they're not there, so you're like, okay, what's going on?
Yeah, but see, I spaced on that. So when you start reading it, and you get all the introduction of the rogues by Cold, and he's describing them, and you see them go about their business, and I'm like, wait, I thought they were in Central City. Are they pulling both at the same time? Like, is this what the thing is?
All that intro stuff was good. It really introduced you to all the main members, and for people who aren't as familiar with them, that worked out really cool. Obviously, the art's really good from thing. It's not really a complaint, because I actually really enjoyed the issue. All the banter was great. The cliffhanger was cool. All of it was good. It's just that my only problem with it is kind of this weird thing where we essentially built up to the exact same cliffhanger. It was just Barry realizing at this time that they're in Central City. You know, it's like there was almost no advancement in the actual thing, and I don't mind it. I think the way they could have fixed this is if it just cut to what they were actually doing in the middle or something like that, or we ended it just a few pages sooner, so that we actually got more of the rogues in Central City before the Flash arrived back, or something, just to feel like it moved forward a little bit, you know?
Yeah, but then they don't get their ending, do they, where they want it to be?
Yeah.
Because obviously, if they cut to showing us the rogues doing stuff, we'd know that they've split up, so it would ruin the idea that we learn it with Barry.
Well, see, that makes me then.
But we've already learned it, though.
Yeah, but that would mean my complaint would be, all right, don't change anything in this issue, but we shouldn't have got that reveal at the end of the last issue.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
But that's the thing, though, is I liked that reveal when I read the last issue.
Yeah.
It's just now in retrospect, it's like this issue probably would have worked better had I not known this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because imagine how surprised you are when Golden Glider trips.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, okay, that's not supposed to happen. Okay, something weird's afoot.
Yeah.
In Corto Maltese.
Like I say, as much as I'm sort of getting into this, it is a minor complaint, because I really enjoyed the last issue. I really enjoyed this issue. It's just when I'm looking at it from a plot progression.
Back
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking, it's kind of weird that it doesn't kind of
See,
advance anything.
And when Cold takes that person hostage, I was like, oh crap, we're getting TV Captain Cold, who I'm not a big fan of, and he describes the road code that they don't kill, but if someone gets in the way, and I think also that's what tips Barry, this is not, he's not acting.
It's not just the hand, is it? It's like,
yeah,
okay, that's not right.
Yeah.
I like that.
Obviously, Domenico has some great layouts in here. There's a great page where I think it's Weather Wizard Barry's fighting, and it's in like it's almost like 3 panels that are kind of like free of the page, and they're all kind of angled, and he's like, it almost looks actually like he should be fighting Mirror Master going through mirrors, but it's not. He's actually fighting Weather Wizard, and it's just the way the panels
because it's showing the
are.
motion of the lightning strikes.
Yeah,
it's just at the bottom third of the page, but it's split into the 3 tilted panels. Yeah,
and it gives it some nice momentum. It sounds like a weird thing to say, but the Flash usually reads really quick because the momentum through the panels and the layouts is so well
keeps
paced.
Your eyes moving, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
To the point where I almost feel like, I feel like I missed stuff. I read that too quick, and I go back and look, and I'm like, I didn't. It was just, it flows so well forward.
It is the point where sometimes you have to kind of look back at it and just to appreciate some of the art, because you kind of almost gloss over some of the detail because you're just moving to the next bit with it. Yeah,
because you're following almost a streak of lightning through the panels, and you're not really maybe paying attention to all the details.
Yeah.
So, at least in the action, obviously if there's a lot of dialogue and stuff, you're reading that, but
I feel like it's rare that there is a big chunk of dialogue, at least when he's the Flash, because it always reads, like you say, it just keeps moving, and it's flowing to the next bit. When he's Barry, it's a little bit different, it slows down.
And to be fair, like these things we're saying that the art's doing is exactly what you'd want from a Flash book. So
yeah, exactly.
So cool, on point, excellent. And Matt agrees. So
I do. I got nothing else to say.
Cool. So. All right. So as an all-solid issue of the Flash, that'll take us on to Batgirl issue 7, which is written by Hope Larson and art. New artist, of course, Raphael Albuquerque, has regrettably moved on to other things, and we have Chris Wildgoose. I must say, I approve of the name Wildgoose. That's a good last name. He's on the art. So
well, anytime you're after him, you're on a wild goose chase.
How many times in his life do you reckon he's heard that joke?
Oh, not enough.
Do you know what I think works as well is that you could say Wild Goose Chase and it can mean that he's the one chasing something else. So I almost like the idea that if he's going
it's almost like a command, Wild Goose Chase.
yeah. So it's almost like he goes into a bar and he's like, right, it's a Wild Goose Chase time. I'm going to chat up some ladies. Anyway, so this issue, Batgirl's back in Burnside and she is shocked and appalled that her favourite coffee place has been turned into a hipster pet store.
Yeah.
Gentrification is everywhere.
Yeah, and she's shocked and appalled. Her rent's doubled. Her friend Frankie is moving in with her girlfriend, so she has to get a new roommate and stuff like that.
So she's happy about that, but not that her rent's doubling and now she needs another roommate.
Of course.
Yeah.
So all this is going on, and on top of it all is a homeless problem, and there's this phone app which is people can use to there's a homeless person lurking around here, and then these people in a van will come and take them away.
Well, here's the thing. I took that as it. The intentions of starting it were noble, right? There's someone that needs help. Someone can come and take them to the local shelter, right? But of course, it's going to be abused.
Corrupted, yes.
And you kind of see that with the hipster people that are now living in this neighborhood, just kind of treat the homeless person as a piece of trash and like, oh, watch, I'm going to report this.
Do you know what I kind of like, because it is ridiculously hipster. It shows that bloody fishbowl.
Well, the great thing just before you go,
I choke people.
I just want to say the great thing is that Barbara the entire time is having the same reactions as us, and
that's exactly it was a criticism of this society.
Yep.
It wasn't glorifying it. It was going, hang on, this isn't normal. This isn't right.
Funny because one of the main complaints, because when I tried the previous Batgirl run, which started the Burnside stuff, they made the big relaunch. She's got the new outfit. Yeah. I think it was issue 35 around there, a new 52. The reason why I stopped reading it is because I thought it was too hipster. I didn't like it. So this is almost like a weird, like, meta critique to me of the old run.
It does feel like that, and I liked the old run at first. It kind of went, it lost me as it went on.
Hipster scum.
There was good stuff in there.
I knew Matt would appreciate that.
But this does feel like a meta criticism of it, because it's like, you changed it up too much. People don't like it. Like Barbara doesn't like this. It's all changed.
Yeah, it's almost
it's some familiarity in there.
It's like yeah, she's coming back and her comic book series has changed. Like, what's this? Why is everything different and hipstery?
Yeah.
Well, and I thought that was kind of like the whole coffee thing, because that's considered a hipster. You know, you have your favorite independent coffee shop, but so it's even gone too far for her. So it even fits kind of in line without being an overly meta thing. But yeah, like Connor said, when they get to that party and they're like, "Oh no, bring a swimsuit. It's a pool party," and then she walks in there and it's a fishbowl, and the pool's on the top floor.
What annoys me more is that someone's got their phone in that fishbowl.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Waterproof phones, I guess.
I know, but and I know you can get waterproof phones, but why would you take that with you in there? Enjoy that. Just put your phone away.
Because no one's going to know you're there unless you have your phone with you to tell everybody where you were.
Yeah, you need to take a selfie.
Touche.
You need to take a selfie. That's just the rules of the modern world. So two key things happen here. This is where she learns about the whole homeless app thing, or not the homeless app, but she learns about she overhears this conversation about from these two awful people talking about how homeless should be thrown away or something like that.
Out of sight.
The other thing, of course, the big thing is she meets Ethan, who turns out to be the son, and we knew this was coming because it's called the son of the penguin.
Son of Penguin.
That's the arc. But she meets Ethan, and what I love about the whole way she finds out is he hands her a business card. She's like, "Wait, Cobblepot? No relation to." And I want to go on a slight just tangent here and explain why this made me laugh even more. It's because there's a British show called Bottom from the early 90s.
Okay.
Really slapstick, over the top, hitting each other with frying pans, all that kind of thing. And they're called Eddie and Rich, the two main characters. They're roommates. And you very rarely hear their last names, but as a joke in one of the episodes, someone would ask Eddie what his last name was, and he'd say, "I'm Edward Hitler." And the joke of the episode is that the person he says that to goes, he laughs and goes, any relation? He's like, "Yes, I've got a mother." And I thought of that when I read this page, and it really made me laugh. But yeah, he's like, "Wait, Cobblepot? Any relation?" He's like, "Yeah, I call him Dad." And then she immediately phones up Nightwing, and it's like, "Dick, have you heard about this Cobblepot having a son?" And then, so not only do I love that they're having like a constant communication, because she was in his book, in the first arc of his, and that was cool, and now we're getting a little bit of the reverse. I love that, they have this sort of relationship, and there is a sort of romantic involvement, but instead of him getting jealous, and maybe you could argue that there's some jealousy like mixed in here, but he mostly just makes fun of her for dating a Cobblepot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and and someone who could potentially be evil.
Yeah, and then she throws that back in his face. Yeah, because you've never dated anyone who's been evil, and it's just a good fun banter.
Like, hey, come now.
Yeah, again.
I also love that he's like, never heard of him. Like, I love how he just says, "Come onto the scene." Yeah, like, because not even Nightwing, and Nightwing, he's dialed in.
Yeah.
To Gotham. So.
Yeah. Also, I love this. She's like, "Oh, I heard you were just like keeping a low profile in Bloodhaven as he's fighting a robot."
Yeah. And he's like, "Yeah, something like that."
Oh god, I love Dick and Bab's relationship so much.
Yep.
It's so good.
It is. It feels real. Like, because even if they're not dating, they're still close enough to call each other about some villain or someone they suspect to be a villain.
Yeah, because what she says, I'm going to do some recon in the date. And he's like, "Oh, is that what the kids call it now?"
Yeah.
But anyway, so she's on the way to the date, and she sees this like couple use the app for the homeless person to see. So she's like, I want to check this out. And it's like, good thing I brought my my superhero gear. And she suits up and she like stakes out, and she's like, and I like there's a countdown timer to when the date's supposed to start, because it's getting like, it's getting a bit late. Maybe she should end the stakeout. But sure enough, van pulls up and takes the homeless person away. And when they open it in the other end to the evil scientist who uses them for research and nefarious means, I was going to say spoiler there, not spoiler. Plot twist: Barbara's inside the van. She snuck in somehow. And she jumps out and beats up the guys. And what One of my favourite panels of the book, because we're not really spoken about the art, and we should speak about the art because it's a new artist.
Yeah.
But one of my favourite panels of the book is the silhouette shot when she's like, it's
outside
like
the van.
Yeah, and she's like doing her sort of karate pose, and it's the scientist opposite her, and it's in silhouette, but her yellow belt and the yellow symbol are still visible.
And
Yeah,
it's
and the
nice.
white hair on the scientist.
Yeah, it's just
nice.
Nice little touches. So we should talk about the art, actually.
Yeah. At first, I didn't like it because it wasn't Albuquerque, and then I was
Fair,
like, "Well,
fair.
that's stupid." Like, as it kept going, I got more used to it.
Do you know what's funny, Matt? I have a very similar opinion where I don't know if I initially had the thought of, oh, it's not Albuquerque, I don't like this.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I don't like it as much as Albuquerque. That's very, I think,
right.
clear. But it was a very much a case of first couple of pages, like, I'm not sure about these faces. I don't know if I'm feeling this. The faces specifically. But by the end of the issue, it kind of grew on me. I was getting into the style of the artist a little bit.
I will say, I love
Me too.
Albuquerque, and he's one of my favorites. But I think Wildgoose
Don't
here
you
is
say
better
it.
suited
Don't you
for
say
this
it.
story.
Oh.
I feel like having Albuquerque out in Asia, like it really helped give it a separate tone for this different place. Whereas this kind of brings it back into like it feels artistically similar to the previous run. But I think that works because it's like, okay, Burnside's home, so this is like a home style for when she's here.
I thought you were just saying it was better. And I
No, I'm not going to say it's better. I think
Okay.
it's better for this particular setting.
Okay, I should let you finish.
Matt will one day learn that lesson.
So impatient.
Never will. Never will.
There
You
are
know
very
this-
there are very few artists I will say, or I'll outright say are better than Albuquerque.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Well,
Who's
I
on
kinda
Red
agree.
Hood?
that's just rude.
Honestly, if Albuquerque was on Red Hood, I'd read it.
No, not even enough.
I would.
Not even enough.
I wouldn't read the words. I'd just look at the pretty pictures.
Nah, not even enough.
What's that?
Wrong image, sorry.
No, Pete, had you not messed it up, it would have been perfect.
Yeah, for the audio listeners,
got
I
fingered it.
have initiated the I Love Red Hood button that appears over Connor's face.
You kind of deserve that one, Connor. Like,
No,
we're
no.
not even.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I wouldn't read it. I wouldn't like pay attention to the dialogue. I just want to see Albuquerque during pretty
Why is the
pictures.
finger still up? It's going back
I
on now.
was looking at Matt because I was addressing Matt, so I wasn't really looking, so I didn't realize it had come down.
Yeah. You accidentally got an old image of Connor there that we sometimes use when he's not here,
Yeah,
which is kind of funny.
it's quite old.
I love Red
quite
Hood,
out.
so it's perfect.
That's quite old.
Uh,
Oh dear, where were we? Oh yeah,
Batgirl.
okay, art. Yeah, I think the art's fine. I think I think the faces grew on me as the issue went on. It's definitely a little bit more cartoony than Albuquerque's is.
Yeah,
That's definitely a thing, but still works. I certainly wasn't bad. I was certainly getting into it more as it went on. A couple of the poses were maybe a little bit proportionally just a little bit off, but not super amount. So
just in the story stuff we haven't mentioned, she's obviously taken a new course at college.
yes, yeah, she has.
Was it library science?
yeah.
I was like, that's a strange course name.
I'll be honest, until I got to that page, I never realised there was such a thing as a library science class.
Now, I don't know if there's a science, but I do think to become a librarian, it is a different skill set. And I never thought of that. It's not just like
I'm going to be
you
honest.
show up for the job.
I'm going to be honest, and I never really considered the idea that you had to be trained to be a librarian. Like you know, in schooling, I mean, like obviously you have to learn what you need to do in the job, but I thought it was a job that you could probably just, learn on the job and learn how to do it.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you'd be a science to it, but
But I like what they point out that, no, it's a sense of community. And that's what it's about. And I think other than Nightwing, there's not a better character to use that trope with, the sense of community, than Batgirl, as she's back in her old neighborhood that's changed. And
Yeah, it's like she wants to set up a new community and regain what she's lost.
yeah,
And
Burnside.
I think that works really well.
Burnside will be her Bloodhaven, and that's cool. And I like it as well because it kind of plays into her whole love of computers and information, but it's like the more old school version.
Yeah.
Like, that's still important to her. So
And I'm sure it's got a great retirement plan, because we all know the superheroics, not a great retirement plan.
That's fair.
So out of all, she's actually being responsible out of everybody.
Typically,
To be fair, I would expect Babs to be responsible.
Of course, right? It's in... Yeah.
Let me finish my goddamn sentence, you pieces of shit. I forgot what I was going to say now.
That's okay. Library science, retirement plans.
Oh yeah, I was going to say, typically, superheroes don't even get to retire. That was the thing. It's too late now. You've ruined it. You've ruined it to Perry. Man, don't shrug. It's bad for the audio listeners.
True.
Yeah, if you're going to shrug, at least go, along with it.
Yeah.
That's not a playful shrug. You know, it's hard to do the sound of a playful shrug.
So I got one more thing just mostly about the art that I'd like to mention, but it's in the writing as well. It's something that we've had the whole time, where it's all in thought bubbles instead of caption boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I'm noticing it more with the new artist than I was with Albuquerque. It feels like there's a lot more space on each page.
Yeah.
At the backgrounds especially, there's just a lot of just because it's not cluttered with all these narration boxes. There's thought bubbles every so often, but even there's far less of them than we typically see of narration boxes.
Yeah, I feel like even just compared to the first arc, there's less thought bubbles than there was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, quite possibly. I'm not.
This is her reacting to other people, not just herself. That Asia story was pretty much her rolling solo.
Yeah.
Oh.
But I really like how it makes the book feel like bigger. It makes Burnside feel bigger than it probably is, right, because it feels like there's a lot of it because we're seeing more of it than we normally do.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that.
Also, this might give us Ethan Cobblepot as the first hipster villain, and that.
That's exciting.
Finally.
To just wrap up the plot, she realizes that the company that made the app, which has been abused by these evil people, was Ethan Cobblepot's company. So we end with her going to the date to basically try and interrogate him, I guess, and that's the end of the issue. So that should be a fun issue next month. So there we go. That's Batgirl. That'll take us on to Teen Titans issue 4. Written by Benjamin Percy and art by Khoi Pham. I think this might have been the best issue of this yet.
Yeah?
I'd say it definitely was.
So, do you know, I feel like I do that with Connor all the time, where I'll say maybe, because it's just the way I phrase something, and he has to say, oh, I think it definitely was.
Well, I just like being a bit more definitive on the topic. It's like, I'm not going to be wishy-washy about it. I'm going to go, yeah, no, this was the best.
I'm not being wishy-washy. I am saying definite, but I'm using the word maybe to say it.
Yeah, but it feels wishy-washy when you say it.
Yeah, but what he's doing, he's covering his bases in case someone's like, actually, issue 2 scored higher, so...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, hey.
Yeah, I think you'll find. Push up the glasses. So this was, obviously, we ended the last issue with Damien going to Ra's al Ghul and saying, leave the Titans alone, I'll come back and be the heir to the demon and all the rest of it, everything you want. And Raz is like, I don't even know if I want you.
Yeah.
To sum up.
You already picked your dad. You already picked your dad, so you have to prove it.
Well, how great was that page?
Combat.
How great was that page though, where he puts him in front of the mirror and he's like, "What do you see there?" And like we see on one side we see him as Batman growing up, and then the other side Raz sees him as Ra's al Ghul when he grows up.
Yeah.
Really cool idea. But so the Demon's Fist comes walking in, and Damien challenges the leader to trial by combat. And if he loses, she gets to keep the right to be the head of the Demon's Fist and all the rest of it. Meanwhile, Beast Boy was overhearing some of this. He goes back to the rest of the Titans and says, "Yeah, he was turning himself in to save all of us. I mean, this is weird. He's actually not terrible."
Admirable.
Yeah, and then Starfire's like, "Yeah, deep down somewhere, you know, we have this delicacy on our planet where it's poisonous, but if you strip out the outside and you burn it just right, eventually you have the most tasty thing in the world."
And that's Damien. He's poisonous, but he can be formed to be something good.
Yes.
Eventually. I feel like that's encapsulated in that shot with the mirrors though, where it's like eventually this is what he could be.
Yeah.
He could go either path.
Yeah.
But see, I feel now though that's kind of false reasoning because we all know he's in with the bats.
Oh yeah,
You know,
yeah.
he's his father's son, and I think all that doubt's kind of gone.
See here though, I don't think it was doubt. I think it was like reluctantly willing to do it to save his friends. Like he was trying to do something. Yeah,
just,
well, that's why I think that the mirrors work so well, because one isn't what he sees, one's what Raz sees, and then he sees Batman. There is no doubt there.
Yeah.
But it's still the idea that it could have gone that way. That's the exterior that he presents. That's why Raz can see that.
So we get the Titans coming to save him. They decide to, they have the Titans together moment. We're like, all right, hands in the air. We're going to go in and save Damien.
Yep.
And they show up at the end of the issue when they show up and they're like, because Damien gets beat in the trial by combat. He gets stabbed in the back.
Yeah. Well, because he kind of turns around and is like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
And I've seen that in a bunch of martial arts movies.
But yeah, because he's winning.
Where it's like, don't turn your back. Oh, you turned your back on him.
Yeah, because he's winning.
Beat, but he won't kill her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And by the way, my favourite panel in this, there's a lot of good ones actually, because the art's really nice. It's really, as much as we lost John Boy Myers, who did the first couple, and he was really good. Yeah. The new artist is also really good, and keeps the same style, really colourful, really bright, really expressive. My favourite panel is when they challenge each other to the trial by combat. There's a panel of Ra's al Ghul's face, and he's just like, and his mouth's open, his eyes are open. He's like, I love when the kids play, or something to that effect. It's just,
evil Grandpa's evil.
He's so enthusiastic about killing. It's great.
he just loves this whole thing.
Yeah, I want to know who her parent is, because if that's his cousin, like.
Well, yeah, that's a good point.
Who did Roz manipulate into providing another heir? Like that's a backstory I'd like to get.
Do we know of a brother or sister Ghoul?
Well, you had Talia and it's in Death of the Maidens. She has a sister, but the sister turned on Roz. I can't remember her name.
Do we have Nyssa in the comics? I think we do.
Nyssa. Yeah.
Is that what we're talking about? Okay, right, cool.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's others. That's what I liked about in the resurrection of Ra's al Ghul, that he's got, he's ancient. He's got kids everywhere, kind of like Vandal Savage.
Theoretically, he's got kids who are already in their 80s. I mean.
Oh yeah. So, but I like
ahead,
that. Yeah, but I like that he's essentially evil grandpa here, where he's like, yeah, fight for my attention, please.
Yeah, yeah. It kind of feels like, I've been a bit bored lately, and I feel like the kids haven't been bringing me any presents, so I think I'm prove their worth.
I'm going to show them how much I love them by making them fight each other to the death.
Which, by the way, this fight
in a cool volcano.
Yeah, I was going to say, this fight to the death takes place on this narrow archway that goes over the top of lava in a volcano. It is the most over the top thing ever.
Yeah, I'm so glad, because that's a Bond villain, and that's who Ra's was essentially meant to be, a Bond villain to fight Batman in the 70s.
Yeah.
So.
And that's kind of how it feels with the kids as well. Like, he's just getting he's really excited about the attention, and that's a very Bond villain as well.
Yep. But also, doesn't Beast Boy in this issue have that speech about Tim?
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
I thought it was
because they all talk about the doubts and the stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So it's just got a little bit of heartwarming. Art's great. Fun stuff for Damien as always. And again, that whole thing when Damien's training before the fight, and he's like talking to himself, and this is something they've really been setting up recently in Rebirth, is the whole idea, like, we've seen him practicing, he's like, to me my Titans, in one of the, I think it was actually on Nightwing.
Yeah.
He's so awkward.
Yeah, but in here he's like talking to himself as he's like just sort of training and warming up, and he's like, how dare you insult the son of Batman. It's so Damien, like it's like
he's proper pep talking himself, isn't he?
Yeah, it's like it's an arrogance, but it's like an arrogance with a cheesiness to it that really works.
Yeah.
And I like
it. I think it's really arrogant that he changes it to I float like a bat and sting like a scorpion. It feels like that's so arrogant that he's like, no, I'm putting my own take on this.
Yeah.
Of course. I was going to say, Pete said it's got that cheesiness. I'm like, that's all the time he spends playing Cheese Viking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is why when people say they don't like Damien and they think he's the worst Robin, I will hear none of it.
It's fantastic.
So we all know who the worst Robin is. And there's one person here that spent more time reading The Worst Robin.
Why are you giving me the finger?
A preemptive. I knew what was coming. I was being preemptive.
No, not everything's that I love Red Hood. I said worst Robin, not Red Hood.
I saw that.
I waited till I looked away before I initiated the button, but unfortunately he caught it in the corner of his eye.
Yeah. So, Titans, it ends with, remind me, because this is another first one.
So Robin's defeated and they all break in.
Yeah, he's thrown in a cell and the rest of the Titans come in and say, your friends are here. And
well, there's also, too, we skipped over where the rest of the Demon's Fist are kind of mad at Damien's cousin's name.
Mara.
Mara. Yeah. Because she stole what they believe was rightfully theirs of their defeat of the Teen Titans. Yeah. So they're kind of starting to turn on her, and it's all just based off of Damien.
Yeah, they even pondered a little bit. You know, he was willing to die to save his friends. Like maybe he is a better leader than she is.
Yeah.
So
it's all really good.
But it set up the team for the next issue for a nice big fight. So that'll be cool. The next issue might be the last one of the arc because it's issue 5. It could be a 5-issue thing plus the rebirth. So.
Yeah, and obviously the last it just says Titans together. It feels like that could be the end. Like that's them as a team. So, so then the next arc comes after.
Yeah, they'll
fight. I hope they take over the volcano lair. The Titans Tower.
Yeah,
volcano lair.
Maybe, but it does seem like they'll fight the Demon's Fist next issue and win, and give Raz the middle finger or whatever they're going to do. Anyway, that'll take us on to Blue Beetle issue 5, written by Keith Giffen and Scott Kolins, and Scott Kolins is also on the art. So, this might be my favourite issue of Blue Beetle yet. Go on, Connor. This was definitely my favourite issue of Blue Beetle.
Well, okay, I'm not going to say that because I just read 2 of them back to back, so they're kind of blurring a little bit, so I can't differentiate them quite that neatly.
Here's why I think this is my favourite one. But are you still reading this, or did you drop this?
This is my last issue. I got to make room, and I'm just not enjoying it. So I'll listen to you guys talk about it. Yeah.
The reason why this is my favourite issue is because my one kind of complaint up until now with Blue Beetle is I've been enjoying it. And it's funny, I think because of this one complaint...
Your one complaint's for that you've been enjoying it?
No. I said, but I've been enjoying it. I said, but I've been enjoying it, right?
I missed that.
Right.
I did too.
But this one complaint though, I think this is the reason why every month I keep forgetting that I like it, because I always put it off to one of the last books, thinking, I don't know if I want to read Blue Beetle just now, and then I read it, and as I'm like, wait, no, I really like this. I liked this last month. Why did I think I didn't like this? And this month, because it fixed the problem, I think I've realised what it was, and I think I mentioned it before, but I didn't realise how much it was annoying me. Whereas there was too much text. Like, it was so wordy. There were so many narration boxes. There were so many speech bubbles. It was a really dense read. And this month, it felt like...
It's still fairly dense, but it's not as bad as it was.
It's not as bad.
I read this one a lot quicker.
Yeah.
And I liked some of the stuff I read in it, but again, I gotta start making cuts, and this is one where I'm not excited to read, like Pete was saying. So, but this was an improvement. I'll give it. Plus the stuff with Blur. I really do like the character of Blur.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things where before it was dense, but it was a lot. It was mostly because of dialogue, and the dialogue was always good.
The dialogue
was just
good.
A lot of it.
There was just too much of it because there was constant. Like he would be talking to Ted in his ear constantly as they were fighting, and there'll just be like constant back and forth between those two. And it was fun for the most part. It was just so much of it. Whereas I feel like here there was just the right amount of stuff. And it was a really fun, simple plot of issue. You've got this big guy coming after Jaime's mum. She's doing a doctor thing for the local vigilante superhero gang, the posse, them. And this big guy shows up, and the posse members that are there try and help her and try to get her away. And then Jaime sees what's going on, and he suits up, Blue Beetle time, and goes in and tries to help her. And we get a cool fight. We get a cool fight out of it. Ted realizes what's happened. He goes and gets Jaime's dad because he realizes that he might be a target next. Yep. It felt like everything was coming together. It felt like stuff's moving forward. And then at the end, the big guy, his boss, reveal. It seemed like it was revealing that was Dr. Fate, or did I misread that? I was a little confused.
misread it.
No, I think you misread it. I think it was revealing it was someone else from another dimension.
Yeah, I wasn't sure because it was like on the page where he's talking to his master, and the master's got this like type of like font and he's like speech bubbles. Mm-hmm. And then I turned the page and we have the issue of the page of Dr. Fate flying, and his speech looked kind of similar because it was kind of also.
I just think it's just tying those two characters together.
Right. Okay.
Whoever this villain is
right.
presumably locked away, and
yeah, that's what I got as well.
Yeah, that's fair.
Did
it
also feel like this
sense.
guy is a Beetle of himself? Like he's familiar with the Scarab.
Oh yeah,
because it's familiar with the Scarab.
He almost takes it off as well. He's taken it off of Jaime mid fight, and then like Jaime like manages to sort of get out of it. But I thought this was a really. I like the sort of this villain on a warpath. He's going after. He's like a Terminator. He's got his target. He's trying to get to her, and it's all just to get Jaime out of like hiding and like actually step into the fight. But Jaime like going, wait, that's my mom, and he's like, he just jumps in. It's like superhero.
Oh yeah, it unleashes a rage in him that he's able to control the Scarab instead of the Scarab controlling him. And on top of it, part of the reason why the boss yells at the guy in green is like, yo, you got distracted by the Scarab. That wasn't your mission.
Yeah.
And how dare you? So, whoever the big bad is, I'm sure it's someone through Dr. Fate.
Yeah, and I feel like his parents are going to find out about everything soon, or at least part of it, just because of all, I mean, Ted picks him up in the goddamn ship. His dad.
Well, it also, I mean, did Dad know about Mom and the posse?
Yes.
So it could have been around that too, that this guy was targeting them, and that's how they talk out of it. But yeah.
True.
I'm just excited because we've got the Fate stuff coming up next, and I love me some Fate.
There's not a button for that, but I'm sure Pete can make a I hate Dr. Fate button.
That would be almost more offensive to me than the other button.
Oh, you know what you have to do now, Pete?
What do you mean, this button?
Yes, that bloody button.
I'll put Dr. Fate is not as good as Red Hood. That'll be the new button.
That's a punch right into the mommy daddy parts. Boom.
It's a punch right in the left testicle.
Oh, you're asking for a stabbing, Pete.
See, this is how violent he is.
Asking for a stabbing. That is great.
Yeah, you have to drop the G off both those so it rhymes perfectly.
Yeah, asking for a stabbing.
Asking for a stabbing.
Exactly.
I had a lot of fun with Blue Beetle this month. Obviously, the art's been consistent with the last, because it's been the same artist the entire time. Scott Allen's got a consistent style.
It's looked great throughout.
And I think it looks better here because there's less text over it.
Yeah, you can see more of it.
Yeah.
It's interesting though, because you can't even say it's necessarily or Giffen's fault, because obviously Kolins is co-storyteller, so he's obviously signing off on all this dialogue.
What? Yeah, but was he co-storyteller the entire time?
I believe so.
Was he? Okay.
As far as I'm aware, they've both always been, because it doesn't say writers, it just says those two as story and then artists.
Not in this issue.
Sure it does.
In this issue, I'm sure it says one's the script and one's the...
No, I'm looking at it right now. It says they're both script. It says both of them on story and then splits it to Giffen, but for script as well.
Yeah,
so it still says, so he's still signing off on it for all the story stuff.
All right, okay. But this was definitely an improvement. I feel like something, maybe they've been analysing their own work and they've been saying, like, right, what's wrong? What, as all artists should do, to be honest. Movie makers, writers of any kind, like, you should always go look back at your own work and say, okay, what can I do better? And
they're gonna put out the issue, and it's gonna come out, and they go, all right, okay, what can we refine? It's just naturally gonna get that way. Most series, I think, tend to until they go too far.
So yeah, I think maybe next month I won't forget that I like Blue Beetle.
That'd be a nice change.
Because I
know I like Blue Beetle.
Because I've done it for like 4 months in a row where I'm like, oh, I put this off because I don't think it's as important as the other ones, and then I start reading it and go, oh yeah, I do really like this. Why did I think that?
I'm still working my way through the old run from Giffen.
I've not read it yet, but
it's very similar tonally, like that kind of fun, upbeat stuff. It's maybe not amazing, like you wouldn't put it up there with the best stuff, but it's a lot of fun, which is kind of what I feel about this book as well.
No, we wouldn't put it up there with Red Hood. No.
Aye, of course.
Okay.
One of them is going on a fire, and one of them is going on my shelf.
You're letting us make the decision which one that is. I'm just letting you know this.
Yeah, you've left that open to interpretation.
Well, no, but to be fair, at the end of the last issue of Red Hood, I said, I want to burn this.
To a CD.
So you can have it forever.
Yeah.
I want to burn it on a fire. I want to get a lighter and hold it there and hold the issue as it burns in my hand.
Given that
Until
you read
it's
it
nothing
digitally,
but
this is a
ash.
really weird thing to say.
Well, no, this is what I mean. When we last did Red Hood, I said, I almost wish I had it physically so I could burn it.
Can we move on?
We can, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
I agree with that sentiment. That takes us on.
I'm just getting passionate about burning Red Hood. I'm sorry.
To a CD, so you can have it forever.
That'll take us on to. Look at him. He's interrupted me twice. I've tried this sentence.
So, what's next?
That will take us on to Batman Beyond issue 4. Dan Jurgens writing and Pete Woods on art, and that was another fun issue. Obviously, last month Dana realised that it was Terry and Joker.
And now she's mad about it, even though they're having acid shot at them.
Yeah, she's mad about it. It's like, you've been lying about this whole time. Yeah. And then his brother shows up and he's like, "Hey, Terry, Batsuit." And she's like, "Wait, what? You're Batman?"
Batsuit on it too? Yeah.
You've been lying to me for all these years? He's like, "Yeah, I know. I didn't want you to find out this way, but you know what? I need to save your life right now, so how about we shut up and you let me do that?"
Yep. Get the new Batsuit. It's got the red eyes.
Which I like for the most part.
Yeah, it's fine. And then we also got Terminal, who is completely revealed that he's just playing the Jokers as fools. So I'm sure that's going to end out well for him.
Yeah, he takes, because we found out in the last issue that the guy who he's claiming is the Joker is actually Bruce Wayne, who is sedated to be unconscious, and he takes him in a helicopter at the end of the issue and flies off, and it's, Terry, I want to say Batman, it feels weird to call him Batman because
it's Terry McGinnis.
Yeah. But Terry and the others go in and they realise, wait a minute, why did it have Bruce Wayne's fingerprint here? And then they realise, the end of the issue is them realising, oh crap, that's not the Joker, that's Bruce Wayne. Which is actually set up very nicely in the issue, because during the fight earlier on, in his narration, Terry's talking about how this is harder because Bruce isn't here to talk him through it.
He's not in his ear telling him what he should do and watch your back. And yeah.
And he even implies that he misses being told he's an idiot for doing this wrong or whatever. And I thought that was a nice touch. And it's set up nicely because we'd learned in the last issue. This is different from The Flash, where knowing from the last issue helped it, because we were like, oh man, we know Bruce is here. He's out there and we will get him back, but Terry doesn't. And that, it worked quite well. So
it's really good. And also when Dana finds out that even Max knows, she's just kind of like, all this chaos is going on. She's like, and even she knows this is, thanks, Terry. It's kind of nice when you were dead. Yeah. So, I like this book a lot. Like, this one's, for me, even though it's monthly and it's gonna get the dollar spike, I'm gonna make room for it because I do enjoy reading it.
Sure. So it's funny. This would almost be one of the first ones that I would drop if I had to drop something on week 4, just purely because it's separate from everything else and it's not in continuity. Yeah. It's it's its own thing. It's
probably gonna read better in trade, but it's my monthly dose of probably my favorite version of Batman. I'm liking
it more as it goes on. I feel like as it goes on, I'm getting to know the supporting cast better, and the story of him getting this bat, because there was 2 issues there where he was just dressed as a Joker. It was kind of weird.
Right. Well, it was great, as matches Malone's son, which was also
good,
a nice touch. Yeah, just again, Jurgens just telling stories, doing what the dude does.
Yeah, I think it's solid. I think if you don't care about Batman Beyond, you won't get anything out of it. But if you...
Yeah.
That's why I didn't.
Yeah. So, have you not seen Return of the Joker, Connor?
I've seen that. I've seen a handful of episodes, but I've not watched it properly. So I don't really care about it to that extent.
Gotcha.
I will say, just on the art, I did like the suit for the most part. The only time I didn't, there was a panel it was a good big panel, it was half a page towards the end. May have even been the last page, actually, now I'm thinking about it. I think it was. and when he's shocked at the revelation that it's Bruce Wayne, and the angle and the way that it's sort of like angled up the way at him, and I'm saying that as if it's a camera, but you know what I mean.
Right.
His proportions look really weird, and it really accents all the extra red that's on the suit now.
Yeah.
But when he was fighting, I thought the suit looked really cool.
That's good, yeah. I also like how all the stuff's in the same pockets, but like the explosives are smaller and pill size.
Yeah, it's like,
it's
wait,
like...
Are these pills, or did he just shrink the concussion grenades down?
Right.
Well, there's only one way to find out, and he throws them, and it turns out to be a concussion grenade. It's like, oh, I'm glad I didn't try and swallow it.
Yeah.
So,
that's pretty good.
Nah,
it's super enjoyable.
It's solid, yeah, it's enjoyable. It's never the highlight of the week, it's never the one that I'm looking forward to the most, but it's always dependable, so...
And it also reads really quick. Like, you're talking about the Flash. This one, like, I got to the end of it, I was like, oh, that's it? Oh, man.
Yeah.
So,
feels a little pulpy, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
So.
We all know I love pulp.
You do love pulp. Do you like pulping your orange juice, though?
Sometimes. Not all the time.
Oh,
Depends.
God, no.
I don't like to chew my orange juice.
No.
You would.
That's all the good bits.
You can't just drink the juice of his relatives. He has to, like, eat the flesh floating in it.
I don't even
You
know.
call them his relatives.
For the audio listeners who have never seen what Connor looks like, he has ginger hair. I just want to put that in perspective.
I'm just typically I hear that more about carrots than oranges.
Yeah, than oranges. That's first. That is.
No, my favourite one is gingerbread men and cannibalism, but, I mean...
Yeah.
But I've used that a few times. I seen an opportunity there, I swung. I think I hit.
Orange.
Maybe it wasn't a home run, but I think I at least got to first base on that.
If Connor was a supervillain, his name would be Mr. Citrus now. So that's my new nickname.
Do I only get Mister? I'm a little bit offended.
Mr. and Citrus just flow together. You don't want to be Dr. Citrus.
How about Corporal Citrus?
That's not bad.
Sergeant Citrus.
And then, he's maybe he's not actually got a sister, but if he had a sister, it'd be Sister Citrus would be his female sidekick.
Yeah.
Not bad.
And then the team would be the Gingers.
Real inventive there.
Yeah.
Hey,
sometimes simple works best. Anyway, that'll take us on to Deathstroke issue 11, Christopher Priest writing, and Denny's Cowan on art, and this is why are you looking at me funny, Matt?
Well, also you had Bill Sienkiewicz, I think that's how you say it, did the inks, which that was pretty. It's pretty big. Sienkiewicz is a pretty big name in art.
Yeah. So
I think it's Sienkiewicz.
Sienkiewicz, thank you.
There you go.
I have to look at it to say it properly, and I don't have it in front of me.
This is different than usual because I actually read this issue because, as I said at the start of the show, both these guys insisted that I read this issue. It's a standalone story set in Chicago. It's about gun violence, and it follows a reporter, Jack Ryder. Yeah, thank you. Jack Ryder is investigating because there's all these stories of basically all these like moms of various like kids who have been fallen victim to gun crime and gun shootings have pulled all their money together to pay for Deathstroke to come and kill the perpetrators.
Yep.
Just like before we go too far into this, this was obviously written because Chicago has this massive gun problem.
Matt, you're brainiacking. Jesus.
That one came in loud.
Continue.
Yeah, sorry. So yeah, it's been a lot in the news over the last few months, but it's even more poignant now than when it was written because just this week there was 6 shot dead at a gun death memorial in Chicago. Yeah. I think that might have been on Wednesday actually, or
that's
I've seen that in the news a few days
tragedy.
ago.
Yeah, it's just so strange that that's happening the week that this is coming out and discussing this very problem.
Yeah, this is about to be a heavy discussion, so warning. So, first of all, it's a really good issue. I've not been reading Deathstroke because I don't really care about the character all that much, and it was told so out of order. I was finding it hard to follow the first issue I read of it. This is very standalone. It works very well. One of the things I like about this is that Deathstroke, even more so because the twist at the end, of course, is that the Deathstroke we've been seeing most of the issue isn't actually Deathstroke, but even throughout the issue, he's played as this like phantom who's there in the night. Like the cops talking about, oh no, there's no Deathstroke. This isn't real. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And like the whoever's, when it turns out, you know, he's doing it, he's not using guns. Even though Deathstroke has no problem using a gun, the idea is that he's using blades and other methods as a point.
Yeah.
Sending the message of
Exactly.
the against guns in
And
this
so
scenario.
we have a lot of Ryder talking to the cops, investigating, you know, various shootings, because it opens with this shooting, or at least the crime scene of this shooting, where a woman opened fire on two men who she was claiming were coming towards her in a car that had broken down to rape her. But it turns out, of course, that when she shot at them, she missed them and hit a kid on a bike.
Yep.
But then when the cop sort of deducts it out, and he's like, "Wait, this can't be right." The two guys
Doesn't make sense.
have stuff in their car that says they're mechanics. They were trying to help, and the kids she shot. This was like 2 a.m. or something. You know, a late time.
Is he
at
riding
night.
a bike?
Yeah, why is he riding a bike? And it became clear, no, he was selling drugs, and she was here to buy drugs from the kid. And you know,
Because she's in a Tesla sports
Yeah.
car in this bad neighborhood at 2 a.m. Why did she break down? Why? So
yeah.
and so Ryder starts pulling on these threads now, and he talks with the families that might have hired Deathstroke, and he's along with the police captain, and this Reverend's also there giving talking points, and
He's at the crime
about
scene as well.
Deathstroke. Yeah. And
Then-
so you get this philosophical debate between the three of them, and the cop's like this hard-nosed
Actually,
guy.
before we get to that, I just wanted to go back to the first crime scene. I want to mention that even right from the get-go, the whole idea that she's pulled out her gun and tried to shoot 2 men
Yeah.
when they're actually coming to help her. I mean, right away you're getting really topical. You know, pull out your gun and shoot first and ask questions later.
Well, and they mention that as they're discussing it is, yeah, she has a conceal and carry permit, but she doesn't train with a gun, so she's even more dangerous because she's not trained with it, and because of that, that's why this kid got killed. And you know, it's just more weapons violence trying to prevent other violence.
Which I think is about the time when all the mums in the room pull out what they're packing. And they all have
and then
guns.
comes the debate of should we hire Deathstroke, and
Right.
is that a good thing?
Yeah, because some of the points brought up is that, okay, it's violence for more violence, guns for more guns, it just leads to worse things. But then the other point that's brought up is that, well, you've paid a man, because these mums, at least I think they're either mostly or all black, and the kid that was shot was black at the start, and this is obviously another big part of this is what's going on right now is a lot of black people have been shot. And he's like, well, you've paid a man who's, as far as we know, is white, because I don't think it's public knowledge what Deathstroke necessarily looks like. And
No, they just assume because that's how it kind of goes, isn't it?
yeah, which is a problem in and of itself. But
But
you-
but it's even it's saying that even these black people here have the same assumption.
yeah,
Right.
and so you've hired someone who's white, probably, who's going around killing all of these gang members who are responsible for your kids' deaths, who are all black. But these gang members are also all black. You know, if news came on a story of a white cop or even just a random white person was going around shooting all these gang members, there would be, you know, upheaval, controversy.
Yeah.
This is racial fueled attacks, and the mother disputes it. She says, no, if someone shot these specific people, I would be throwing them a parade or whatever the line was.
I'd bake him a cake.
Bake them a cake. There you go.
Yeah, if the person that killed, so if anybody kills the person that killed my baby, I'd bake him a cake.
Yeah.
And that just gets down to, again, violence be getting more violent.
Yeah.
And that leads into then the cop says, yeah, but what about the people that Deathstroke's killing? What about all their mums? Now you've got a new group formed, and it's just the people who are in the same situation as you now.
Violence breeding violence is. I mean, it's kind of the main crux of the issue. The main point of the issue. It's very well told. I thought the art was really good. It gave it a very nice moody feeling to it. It may be lost. Sorry.
So yeah, the art throughout.
Art's very good.
Pages
feels very gritty.
Even people just standing around, it feels impactful. Like when they're standing around and having the talks,
it's got feeling, hasn't it? It's got mood.
Exactly.
It's even if it is just stood there in a room discussing.
Yeah.
It's always engrossing just to look at.
Yep.
The only time the issue kind of lost me is when it goes a bit more comic booky and Jack Ryder turns into what's
the Creeper.
The Creeper. Yeah.
Which we know from the cover, which I didn't know when this was, solicited, that the Creeper was gonna have a part in it. So I was surprised by that.
Not that,
but it was what I thought it was gonna be.
Not that I have a problem with this kind of stuff. Obviously, it felt a little bit out of place in this issue. But up until this point, it's been really hard. And don't get me wrong, it gets back to that. The point he makes after this also very strong. It's just.
I'll be honest. It almost feels like editorial went. Can we have a little bit of a lighter selling point on this as well, please?
Yeah, because it's such a...
What makes sense, though, too, is that Jack Ryder is this TV newsman that in certain stories he's become kind of like a TMZ kind of guy that's only about the tabloid. And now this is turning him back into like a legitimate reporter that's tracking this type of stuff down. So I thought that it also built up the Jack Ryder character, and I thought he was used well. And you kind of can't bring Jack Ryder in without the Creeper. Although I think if they had hinted at him becoming the Creeper instead of actually showing it, it would have been probably better.
I think the problem was maybe just the colors, because he stands out so much.
Yeah, he's bright green.
Yeah, it's like this green yellow.
It's boa. It's just weird.
Yeah, it stands out. But of course, the twisted issue is that it's actually the Reverend who we've been seeing throughout the issue who's taken matters into his own hands. He's been dressing his Deathstroke, and at the end of the issue, Jack Ryder comes to his church, and we see the Reverend's lying there with a gunshot in his head, and the real Deathstroke standing there.
Slade.
And he's like, "Did you have to kill him?" He's like, "Yeah, he was diluting the brand," which is a very cynical response from
such a Slade line in this.
Yeah, but the final thing is very because Jack starts questioning him about the violence and the guns. He's like, "Well, and as Deathstroke's walking out, the last thing of the issue is he says to him, "What do we do to solve?"
What's your solution to Chicago's gun violence?
Yeah, and Slade turns around and says, "Better aim," and that's the end of the issue. It's a very cynical.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. I mean, there's an accuracy in it. It's like, well, sure, if people had pinpoint aim, it would solve some things, but not.
It wouldn't. It would have in this specific scenario. Yeah, the kid wouldn't have got shot, but you still would have had 2 other guys killed.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
And
and they'd have been innocent.
Back to the cop at the end. That's like, I'm not allowed to smoke on duty, but just anybody can go get a gun. I have to follow the rules. Nobody else does.
Yeah.
And so it goes into this big, not circular, but it's a quagmire, there's not one solution to anything.
Yeah, it ends with essentially going, well, this is my solution, but the issue as a whole says there isn't one, or we don't know what it is yet. There isn't an easy solution. That's the point. That's why it's such an ongoing problem.
Yeah,
did you guys have any inkling that it was the Reverend? Because I didn't. I went back and skimmed through it twice.
Nah.
So I thought that reveal, not that it was out of left field, but I thought it was a nicely handled.
It made sense once it had been told. I was like, okay, cool. I buy it. There was nothing that told me that this would have been weird or didn't work.
Because it's brought up a couple of times that even if all these mums did all these different things, it wouldn't actually be enough to afford Deathstroke. Deathstroke costs millions, and so the stuff's there seeded to say that it's not actually him. But actually, I like how fake Deathstroke's used in this though. He is just this silent thing. He doesn't speak. He just shows up. He does the kills from the shadows, and he's this myth. And I like that throughout. He's very much my kind of
horror movie villain.
Yeah, which is why I liked it probably.
In this one, he truly is Deathstroke the Terminator.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Terminator. There you go. He's the Terminator.
As much as I'm enjoying this series, I wish more of it was this straightforward as this. Even though there's that quagmire of the philosophically speaking, of the gun debate, right?
Well, yeah,
that's not straightforward, but the story itself is.
Well, yeah, that's the thing.
We don't get that a lot in.
Well, no, Matt, to compare it to the rest, well, at least what I read of the book and what it sounds like from what you just said, the rest of it.
Yeah.
The morals here, the meaning behind the story is complex as shit. It's more complex than probably anything he's done, but the actual writing is straightforward, and because of that,
it's so you can focus on the message, isn't it? It doesn't want it doesn't want any of that overshadowed. It wants you to go, no, this is the problem. Have a think about it. Don't worry about the story. Enjoy the story because that's the vehicle for this. But we don't want you to think too hard about how to understand it.
See, and I like that Priest is able to shift gears like that to tell the story, to take a break from what we have been doing, to do something different, but also that has a purpose.
Yeah. It's just a fantastic issue, though, isn't it?
So it was.
It is
Pete,
very
were you
good.
glad that you read it?
Yes, and I didn't think I would. Even after you both said you need to read it, I didn't think I would like it that much. But it was good.
Yeah,
It was
so-
good because it was different from the other issue I'd read.
It was, and like me and Matt are both very much enjoying the main run in general. But this
Yeah, when I know
it
what's
does
going
feel
on.
special, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like it does
Yes.
feel like this is something else. This is Priest going. I want to talk about this issue right now. I'm going to do it here.
Yeah,
It's kind
Whereas
of like
the other
when they
bit
did
feels
the
like he's-
traveling heroes.
but it's
the
funny
70s.
because you use Deathstroke in this story. You do this in a Deathstroke book where Deathstroke is kind of almost this fantasy of just killing whoever you want and to solve your issues. And that's kind of the point of this issue.
Yep.
Is that's not the solution.
No.
Yeah.
It's not like the violence isn't the thing. He's a comic book character, and the guy who does faking Deathstroke, he ends up dead. And if it wasn't Deathstroke that did it, it was going
Violence
to be
begets violence.
yeah, it's going to be someone else. It was going to be someone else who's going to shoot him. So I
It
think
works really well for all those things.
Yeah,
So-
I don't proselytize a lot of comics. I go out and get this, but I do. This is the one that I have been telling people that normally wouldn't read Deathstroke. Like, yeah, go check it out, read it. It's worth your time, 100%.
And I know Priest obviously has a reputation for being political in the past, and we haven't really seen that on Deathstroke up till now. But now I really want to see him do more. Not like obviously let him tell his story as well, but every so often when he has something he wants to say, I hope DC editorial lets him just say it.
I'll be honest. I kind of want him to do a book now that's got nothing to do with any superheroes. I just want him to do. You know what?
Well,
Let him do Gotham Central. Relaunch it with him.
Yeah.
Give him some cop characters, whatever he wants. Let him do that. I'll read the shit out of it.
Yeah.
Because
fair.
I really like this issue.
or even him, if you want to give it more comic, give him the Spectre and let him get into that.
Yeah.
Oh, the
murkiness.
philosophical debate there.
Yeah.
I
Could work.
feel like he'd boss that.
That could work. Give him or even someone who's just detective. You could do it with a detective-like character, I suppose.
Question.
Detective Chimp.
Question the chimp. I feel like, much like I had a problem with the glowing green monster in
creeper.
this, I feel like Detective Chimp will also undermine some of the messages he's maybe trying to convey.
I feel like the question would work in a very similar way to how this issue is presented.
Yeah, I
Like
can see
it would
that
just
working.
be we'd follow it from his perspective more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. So, next up is the Odyssey of the Amazons, issue 1, written by Kevin Grevioux and art by Ryan Benjamin. Confession time. I
Yeah.
never finished this.
Oh, man.
Such a dick.
I did, and it wasn't what I was expecting.
I will agree it wasn't what I was expecting, but especially by the
Wasn't
end,
bad.
I was really into it.
I made the choice not to finish it because I started reading it when I was kind of sleepy. I read half of it and I realised I was kind of passing out, so I put it aside. Fine, went to bed. And it was today I picked it back up, and I thought, right, I'm going to finish this book. I've read everything else. I just need to finish Odyssey of the Amazons. And I took a look at the page I was on, and I was like, I have no idea who any of these characters are. I'm going to have to start this again. And then I went, I really don't want to. So I just put it down. And that's not to say that I think it's a terrible comic. It's just the thought of having to read
That might be the first thing since Rebirth started and we started doing this that you've gone, I can't finish this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and part of it was having to reread the first half again, and I know I didn't like it enough. I knew I didn't like it enough to want to read it again.
I definitely say reading it when you're tired, bad idea.
Yeah. It's one of those things. I can't say a lot of it because obviously you guys finished it, so I'll let you sort of carry the main conversation. But as soon as I looked at the first page and I seen the font of the narration and the way it was written in the sort of the old time speak to give it that kind of feel to it, you know. As soon as I seen that, I'm like, I don't know if this is going to be a short read, I think, and it kind of was because partly that mixed with the fact that I didn't really know who any of the characters were.
Yeah.
It made it a bit of a chore to get through for me.
Outside of Hessia, who we've seen
Yeah,
Hessia in Wonder Woman, but
It's mostly
everyone
old
else
stuff.
is new, and I'm going to keep reading it. But yeah, like what Pete's saying, it was super dense. it's hard to keep everybody straight because they don't get proper introductions.
Because they throw it's a team of like what 4 or 5 characters they throw at you right away.
Oh, there's more. Yeah, there's over the course of the issue, there's like 8 of them.
Really? Oh, right. Okay. Jeez.
Yeah, and obviously the problem is they're not common names. They're not names that you would know to even say. You have to look at them. They're highlighted for a good reason, just so you go, nope, this one's a name. Nope. And that makes it harder to remember who's who.
Yeah, but what I do like is it's building this idea of the Amazons long, long ago. That, well, if it's an island of nothing but women, and Hippolyta is the only one that can create a baby out of clay, where do the rest of them come from? And so this is their mission: is they come out to man's world during, I don't even know what era it is. It's long ago in the past, where it's...
Yeah, I don't think it's dated, is it?
No.
I got the impression it was like maybe like 14 to 1600s.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Around that time. And they go out to these different cultures and find essentially Amazons. These women that are immortal, which I'm sure there's more to that. They're great in combat, and it's their mission to bring them back.
It was almost like it's like there's a select chosen few where they just throughout the world that they find, and I guess the interesting thing to me is, okay, why did that stop? Or did it stop? Yeah. Is there still technically people being born who are immortal and are Amazons?
It feels like at some point in the past before this, Amazons were more integrated with the world and they had children. And these are descendants that they inherit more of the Amazonian traits enough that they are immortal.
You look into the myths and legends of Amazons, and they're this warrior tribe of women that that live far enough from Greece that they're that she interacts with Hercules, Hippolyta does, and all of that. So I can see that's where it comes from, and then they get whisked away to Themyscira and all this other, but that's just basically it, and you get to know the rest of the girls there, and I can't remember any of their names though because there's so many of them. I remember Lita. And I remember Hessia. The rest of the names are there because they're long and different. Yeah. That it's hard to keep them all straight.
It is. And obviously because they're all from different countries and cultures, they're not even all one style of name like you would typically get where you have, these are from this country, so the names are all kind of similar. Yeah. Like they have
Although it does give it a Dirty Dozen kind of feel to it, that each one of them has a specialty. Like there's a samurai Amazon. And there's a Aztec Amazon from, Mexico.
Yeah, you got the African one that's coming in this one.
So, but as they're getting ready to head off onto the next place, and there's a little bit of dissension because a lot of them feel like they just want to go home. And Hessia is kind of like, well, no, if, we got to bring our sisters home. This is our mission from Queen Hippolyta. And they're all kind of like, well, I think you just like being out in this world, so let's go home first. And as they're having this debate, the Jotuns attack. And take a big group of them back to the Norse countries.
Yeah, and then what's really cool, it's the Fates pop up.
Yeah, the Norns.
Yeah.
Fates, Norns, whatever you want to call them. And go ahead, Connor.
I was going to say, they give them their advice. They do the typical Fates thing where they pop up, be very cryptic, and be like, oh, this is what you should probably do, but it's never going to turn out exactly how you interpret it, because that's their thing. Mm-hmm. And they give them this little amulet that'll direct them to their friends. And it's like, right, go get them. And then we're off to the sea.
Yeah, and now they're on their way to the Viking lands, which excites me more. And so do you think that they're going to run into the Valkyrie, or do you think that the legend of the Valkyrie comes from the Amazons? Because you have all these warrior women now.
Yeah, I feel it's more likely that.
Because that's where I was thinking that they're going to meet the Valkyrie, and and the Valkyrie instill things into their culture, and they instill into the Valkyries. But now I'm kind of thinking that now this Odyssey, the ones that kind of want to stay out are going to become the shield maidens that we've heard of in history and whatnot.
It'd kind of be cool either way.
Yeah.
But I think maybe it's more like the way they're going around and collecting them from other cultures.
Yeah.
They'll get to these and they'll be Amazons in the sense that they would have collected them, but they'll refuse and they'll go, no, this is our homeland. We're Valkyries.
Exactly. That's either way. I am excited for that because we all know where my leanings go.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not surprised at all that Pete didn't like this because it very much plays like a fantasy epic.
It does.
It's a fantasy epic where I couldn't get a grasp on the characters very quickly.
Yeah.
I feel like you get to know them a bit more as you went, especially that scene on the beach just before a bunch of them get taken. Like you really start to learn a bit.
Throw them at you so fast, and there's so much going on. I get that. Once I got halfway through it, I was like, "Oh yeah, Pete's not gonna like this."
But this is the sort of thing where even if you go to like Game of Thrones, first episode, it's like name.
This is exactly what I was about to bring up. Is it feels kind of like that because I don't like Game of Thrones. I watched a season and a half of Game of Thrones, and I'm like, too many characters.
It's the same. It was a problem then as well. Don't get me wrong. Like there is a lot to just digest at first, but I feel usually as long as they develop them, I'm okay after that. And this feels like that. It has that start of, there's a lot going on, but they always throw you in right in the middle of all the stuff, all these characters. It's kind of how most fantasy epics play. So I'm kind of down for it, even though it makes it maybe perhaps a bit more awkward in this first issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the art though. I think it looks great.
The art looked great. Yeah, they all look different enough, so that helps too. I'm trying to keep them straight.
Yeah.
So you look at them and go, oh yeah, that one. So kind of like in Game of Thrones, where I know people that still don't know. We're 6 going on 7 seasons in,
but you
and they call them. Yeah. The dwarf guy and the blonde lady, and so you can kind of look at these characters and go, oh, she's the samurai one. Okay.
Yeah. And I love the design for the Jotuns.
Yeah.
It's just.
They look like trolls. They look like. And they are gigantic, so that helps.
Yeah, I love seeing one mid-transformation with all the feathers turning into his arm.
Yeah.
It looks great. But I really enjoyed it. I think it's definitely different to what I was expecting. Like we said at the start, I think we were expecting a bit more
I was thinking swashbuckling adventure.
Yeah.
Let's team up the Valkyries and fight them, and it's not. It's an epic.
It is an epic. It's very much playing into those old myths. It feels actually quite like Norse legends in that sense.
Does.
But obviously incorporating a lot of the Greek mythology into that, and presumably other places as well because of this diverse cast.
Well, they made a big point at the Aztec Amazon and how her culture sacrifices, and I'm sure once they get up there, knowing what I know about the Norse cultures, she'll fit in right well.
Definitely. It's like obviously they're incorporating details from these other mythologies, but the actual narrative structure of it and the feeling feels like the Norse mythology stuff.
Yeah.
Yep. And I'm down for that because essentially to a point, Lord of the Rings is even based on those Norse mythologies.
Not the Vulcan saga.
Yeah, exactly. But structurally, it's kind of getting in that range, and
yes,
I think we're killing Pete, aren't we?
Yeah.
I was just messing with the cat. That's all.
Oh, gotcha. I thought you were getting sick.
No, cast it.
It kind of looked like he was just yawning and really bored of what we were saying, so it's like, I'm going to go away for this.
No, this menace is at my feet doing various cat things.
Yeah, I shut my door so mine can't bite me in the feet mid-sentence anymore, so we're good.
So
I'm not a dick and don't own a cat.
Yeah.
You done with the Odyssey of the Amazon?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah,
we're good. Connor's Corner and
it was cool.
Head home.
Yeah, unfortunately,
this is becoming an epic.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have to. Unfortunately, we have to listen to Connor talk for another good.
I'll keep him brief.
We'll see.
Okay.
All right. First up, Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps issue 13. Robert Venditti writing and V. Kenneth Marion on art.
Yeah, this was actually a really interesting issue because the whole thing is set 60 years in the future on Zuda, and it's these grandparents telling the grandkids a story of what happened in the last arc when Starro came and and that stuff happened, and it was just their perspective and how they were a child when it happened, and how they felt when the Green Lantern Corps showed up and what it represented. And then it flashed forward a little bit, and it turns out that she is a Green Lantern as well. Like this, obviously, because we have Tama Ray from this planet, and she's there as well now. And there's 3 big statues of them all, like in the town square. And it's pretty cool in that aspect. It kind of treats the Green Lantern mythology as a legend. To go back to what we were just saying, really, where a lot of it is just how these regular people hadn't even heard of the Green Lantern Corps, but then they show up and save them, and the impact that they have on these ordinary people's lives, and how it inspired her essentially to not be afraid anymore and eventually become a Green Lantern.
Yeah. Again, I like what I'm hearing, but then I remember that I'd have to read Robert Venditti's writing, and it makes me not want to read it.
Yeah, this issue teases a lot of stuff as well. Like there's one of these Zudarians as a Sinestro Corps member.
Well, we saw that one before. That popped up in Johns' run.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's kind of... It feels like, it's from the past, but then it talks about threats coming back and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it feels very circular. There's a big, massive splash page of... it says, there are armies incomprehensible is the only caption on the page. And it's all these Green Lantern rings.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of the lantern symbol on the ring, it's just a cross.
Well, that's not good.
Yeah, and it's just tons of them just flying out into space. That's like the whole page. It's a big double-page spread that's just that.
What was the caption again?
It says, there are armies incomprehensible. This is in the middle of a big speech about how threats old and forgotten worm their way back. Threats new and fearsome arise to claim their stake. And then it says, there are armies incomprehensible. And then even great battles for the fate of existence itself. And a lot of it is referencing past events. You've got the War of Light is in there, and all sorts. But a lot of it, because obviously this is set 60 years in the future, a lot of it feels like, here's some teasers of things to expect coming up.
Yeah.
And
it also reminds me that Tomar Ray was in his sectors where Krypton was, and that dude fell asleep on the job. He didn't even try to help any Kryptonians get off the planet.
Yeah, yes. Somali, I don't know. I said Ray because you said Tara Ray. It's just the one E, isn't it?
Tomar Ray, yeah.
Yeah, so Somali is this new one.
Oh.
And
cool.
it's a really nice issue. It's kind of very standalone and just her kind of story about why the Green Lanterns are why they matter, why they're great, and that's kind of it. But that's nice.
Cool. Sudarians.
All right.
Fin-headed beak guys. In case people don't recognize them. Yeah.
It's the ones.
All right. I guess that'll take you on to Suicide Squad issue 10. Rob Williams and Simon Spurrier writing, and Giuseppe? Yeah.
Sure.
Giuseppe Cafaro on art.
Sure.
They keep me on my toes with these names. They really do.
I will say I really like the art. This is I mentioned it back when we talked about the event. This is Rustam going after Amanda Waller's kid, basically. Is the setup, and it's her reaction to that. How does she deal with it? So it's pretty much a Waller issue. Mm-hmm. So it's very much delving into her psyche. It talks about who she's lost, her husband and other kids that she's lost. But you have this great imagery of Rustam with his fire sword just slashing through stuff, and it looks great.
He's got a fire sword, so it's cool.
Well, no, but it's the way it's actually utilized in motion that makes it look really good in the art, in this style. But overall, it's kind of underwhelming as an issue. It's like it's fine, but you had those teases. This was amongst all those teases in the event book, and I feel like, okay, kind of glad this one's over with.
I'm pretty sure that was just there so that they all had something, and they just wrote an issue about it so that
I know.
Like, I don't think this is an indication of how the the big ones, the Society and the
No,
Legion
it's
are going
not.
to
But
play
it
out.
almost feels like, I wish they'd just not even bothered with it on there and just had a panel for something else, or made one of the other panels bigger or something like that. Well, it kind of feels wasted in that sense.
They should have just shown a panel of him eating a sandwich. And that way, yeah, he ate a sandwich.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like we got all of what we needed from Rustum in the
This is the
Suicide
thing.
Squad
It's not really about Rustum. He's
Right.
there, but it's not. It's all about Waller and her relationship with her daughter, and how she doesn't actually have a relationship with her after her husband died and the other kids died, and it's like this relationship went away, and she threw herself into her work, and obviously because it's all classified, she can't tell the kid anything, and
Right.
it's like it ends with how her saying, "Oh, it feels like losing, but I won," even though she did save the daughter. Like, she's fine, but it doesn't feel like it because she's not actually with her. It's one of those rare times that you see Amanda Waller with humanity, which is interesting. Because
Would you say there's a hole in the wall?
it presents it like
I
like
just
it's
thought,
getting there.
I need to jump in with this. That's the title of Amanda Waller's sex tape. Continue.
I'm sorry for that. I shouldn't have said anything.
Very good. Very good. But it's just decided, like, the whole last page is just her on her own and no one else is around. And it's typifying that she's sacrificed there's so much, and she's just all these relationships with her family and to get where she is. And is it worth it, essentially, is what it boils down to. And it's all right, but it's not a great issue either.
And if I'm right in saying you just read this because it was billed as the epilogue to the event.
Yes. Yeah.
I did not
I didn't
fall
fall
for
for
their
that.
I didn't fall for their cheap tricks.
Doesn't matter. I knew it wouldn't really be, but it says epilogue on it, so I've got to get it. Gotta read it.
Dear. Connor. You're
Silly
such a fool.
Connor.
Look, Matt is almost as bad.
Yeah, but I learned.
I learned. I knew what I was getting into. I just did it anyway.
Terrible. All right, that'll take you on to the final book of the week, and that is the Hellblazer issue 6, which is written by Simon Oliver and art by Pai Guerra. This is interesting because you've only talked about maybe 2 issues of this series so far, because you've some
Maybe I
maybe
haven't spoken about the first 2 because we all did the first one together.
Rebirth,
Yeah, and then I did 1,
right?
and then I think I did 3 because this is 6. Maybe I did 3 or 4. I did as well. Did 1 in the middle.
You definitely missed at least 3 of these, though.
Yeah,
Yep.
but that would still mean I missed 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
So take it away. How's Hellblazer these days?
It's pretty enjoyable. The story's still going on about how the Djinns are there and infiltrating our society and what they want to do. They've got this plan that we've still not really learned a lot of. We get a bit more of it in this issue, actually, because he kind of brings all these influential humans together as like a secret society kind of meeting sort of thing, and says, "Oh, you want to join Djinns in paradise?" Because the idea is when the creator invented humans, and then the humans and the Djinn lived together for a while, but it wasn't going well, so the creator separated them, and he created a paradise for the Djinn. And this Djinn is like, "Oh, we can take you there and we can share paradise together, but you've got to lead humanity." And the idea is, why would all these selfish rich people want to do that? That's that half of the issue, and it's kind of verging on that philosophical debate of should the influential lead society, and is it their responsibility, essentially. But it's kind of brief in what you do get of it. A lot of it is actually, in this issue, is actually kind of in a dream world, where Mercury, I believe her name is, that's with John, is she has this power that when she dreams, she kind of goes into these other worlds, other dimensions, and it seems one of these is the paradise that the Djinn are from. And she meets one of them, and the most of this story then is her telling this story to John. They're on a train, they're going under the channel, going to Paris. Mm-hmm. And she meets one of these Djinn who says that he can help and help understand what's going on, but in return she has to get him out because he's trapped there, and he wants to return to Earth. And she tells John that she doesn't, and that she just ran away and got through the portal while he fought off this monster that we saw kind of just frame it through, just stuff populating this world. And then she goes into this other dimension voluntarily this time. While she's awake, she kind of goes into the bathroom on the train. And everything kind of goes black, and there's just a cage with him in it. So the idea is she rescued him, but has put him in this other prison instead. And she wants to know what she really is. And it's building this mystery of who she is. Obviously, the last issue, obviously, I didn't speak about, but there was the idea that she has this history with John, but more specifically, John has this history with her mother. And they had this relationship. So it's, who is this woman? It is kind of what it's starting to ask, and why can she do these things, and how's the related to the Jinn, and what's their plot? It still feels like it's getting towards it's weird because this is in issue 6, but this feels quite middle of an arc, not as end of the arc as it should be feeling at this point. But it's kind of moving forward bit at a time. There's a lot of character work kind of just going on between the two of them. That's so much of this book has just been John interacting with people rather than a lot of plot moving forward, and I'm enjoying that. But it's more difficult to talk about when there's not these big plot events that are going on. And obviously the fact that neither of you care.
I'm not reading Hellblazer.
Well, I mean, a couple of issues ago, there was a lot of great stuff with Swamp Thing that I really liked.
Hey, Connor. When Cold Snap shows up to save the book, then maybe I'll...
oh, man, that'll be great.
I'll be interested.
Because the whole thing is, obviously, they've kidnapped Abby Arcane, because she's still Avatar of the Rot.
Right.
And it's this idea of what do they need her for. There's questions of if she went willingly or if she was kidnapped, like the assumption has been. And it's kind of all building, it's grinding. There's a few little things kind of just coming to a head all together. And it's really interesting in that sense. There's a lot of minutiae that this book revolves around. But there's not often these big things that are going on to drive it.
Cool. I have nothing waited to say.
Yeah. It probably will read better in trade because it is all these minutiae that are kind of adding up.
I like to make fun of stuff Connor says when he's talking about books in Connor's corner, but I really, he gave me no material to work with there.
I think the problem is you don't even care enough about Hellblazer to disregard it that much, do you?
Like I say, add Cold Snap, and then we've got a book. Then we're cooking with fire.
Man, you know how during the New 52 every September was like a special month.
Oh, I hate
Wouldn't you just
that.
love it if but wouldn't you just love it if one month it was this is Cold Snap month. Every book's going to feature Cold Snap.
I just want to point out, guys,
that
he said Cold Snap and Cooking with Fire. He missed something. You know.
It was an intentional opposites thing. I did realise it as I was saying it. Don't worry.
Sure. But I'm still enjoying Hellblazer. It's very slow moving and it adds up, but I'm enjoying every issue as I'm reading them.
Okay.
That's good. As long as you're enjoying it, you're kind of the target audience, right? You like Constantine as a character, so you know.
Yeah. I will say, as problem with the book, there's not enough of Constantine being a dick. He still feels a little like he's toned down for nice. Yeah, like he has been since he was brought into the DCU with the New 52. He's not quite that much of a hero, but it's there's a little bit soft still.
Yeah, it's a shame what they did with Vertigo because he'd be perfect just to go over there and be in standalone stories with Swamp Thing and whatnot.
Yeah,
you could still do it, but Vertigo's almost become DC's like creator online.
Yeah, so, it's become DC's image essentially.
Yeah, so it's a little bit weird to stick it there. So where else do you put?
It is a problem where you got so used to the.
Well, then I don't feel he belongs there either.
It's a bit. He's a bit too straight for that, isn't he?
Yeah.
But that's the problem because obviously you got so used to the Vertigo version of Constantine where he is this gruff man, and now you got this toned down, softened version because it has to fit in with the rest of this universe and doesn't feel quite right. But what else do you do with him?
Yeah.
And it is a problem.
All right. Well, that's Hellblazer issue 6. And that'll take us on to our weekly roundup. We get to pick our favourite things. So, as always, let's start with the best panel of the week. Matt, what is your favourite panel?
I was hoping you weren't going to... you did the don't pick on me teacher thing. And the teacher's like, I sense you don't want me to pick on you. So I had trouble with this one because, nothing really stuck out to me huge in just a single panel. So I guess I'll go with the Superman Lex Luthor handshake at the end of action because it shows that they both have mutual respect for each other now, and that's huge coming from Clark because this is a man that has made his life hell continually, but not this version. So it shows that Superman can be the bigger man, and usually is. But there you go, they reached an understanding.
All right, cool. Connor.
I'm going to go with that splash page from Wonder Woman where it's all the images coming out the back of her head. And it's just, I love the insinuation of how broken her mind is just from how fractured the layout is there. Yeah. It almost doesn't matter what it's showing you because it's just the idea that it's all just jumbled and scattered. And that's really encapsulated her entire state of mind as to where she is now.
Oh, cool. Which leads me to mine, I suppose. I was about to just go straight on the cover there. I was like, oh wait, no, I've not done mine yet. And I'm going with the detective. I'm going with the Batwoman with the shotgun over her shoulder because it's such a surreal image to see a Bat character holding a shotgun, and I think she pulls it off. But also the meaning behind the panel where it's her saying, "Yeah, I'm one of you, Bruce, but I'm different. I do this my way, and I have my own morals and sets of rules." And it does a lot for the character whilst also having a really cool, distinct look to it. Plus, she looks like a badass. So,
yes,
that's pretty cool. Best cover of the week. I'll kick this off. Honestly, there's not one that particularly stands out to me in terms of being a cover. In terms of this is a good iconic layout. So I'm just going to go with maybe the one that stuck out to me most in terms of art, and that is probably again Detective Comics because once again the art in there's. Just really, really pretty.
That's fair. I feel like perhaps the Detective Comics it's not as striking as the previous tech cover. I feel like it's got a little bit too much going on.
I would agree. But I actually think I have that complaint about most of the issues this week is they all have a little bit too much going on.
Yep, as I'm looking through them right now.
Yeah, there's only a handful that Wonder Woman, Batgirl doesn't. They're quite simple.
Yeah, they're both quite good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No. My pick, I'm actually going to go with Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern Corps. You got Yannin doing this gorgeous piece of you got the 4 Earth Lanterns, a couple of others scattered throughout, and it's just great. It's a beautiful piece.
Matt,
I'm going to go with Batgirl, and even though it's not Albuquerque, I'm not going to hold that against it. It's a great image.
It is. That has the idea of the silhouette behind it as well.
Yeah, and. I mean, if that's what you're gonna be set a penguin and go with the monocle, then I commend you because it's a little on the nose, but good for him.
Yeah,
good for Ethan.
All right, I guess that takes us on to best art of the week. Connor, I guess that means you're first.
Okay. I think I'm gonna go with Wonder Woman because it's just gorgeous. Sharp's killing it.
All right, Matt.
I'm also going with Wonder Woman. So for what Connor said, plus cartoon snake that doesn't match the rest of the art. I always like when they do that.
That is a very good point. Wonder Woman is great. Flash is also great. I want to shout out actually. Well, usually talk about variant covers, but I really liked that the variant cover for Flash was like a really. Do you remember they did the old school art in the last issue?
Yeah, they've been doing that with this because that was the variant.
Yeah.
Last week too.
I'm assuming each issue of this arc of the Rogue will be another one, yeah.
Yeah, because this one was Mirror Master and that was cool. So I like to point that out. But my pick is actually going to be Detective, probably not surprising, but I think that looks gorgeous.
It's Rainbow too.
It's like you want to go, oh, you're so boring, you should have picked Wonder Woman with us, but then it's like, I can't really compose it against you. It looks great.
The shading, the colours, everything about it, the expressions in the face, it's so detailed.
Yep.
Nah, it's really, really moody and great, so... which takes us on to top 5 of the week. So I'm going to pick on Matt once more. We went full circle.
All right. So 1, I'm gonna go with Wonder Woman. 2, Detective. No, 2, Deathstroke. 3, Detective. 4, Flash. 5, Batgirl. Yeah.
Connor?
I'm gonna go 1, Deathstroke. 2, Wonder Woman. 3, Batgirl. 4, Detective. 5, Flash.
Okay. I'm going to go number 1, Deathstroke.
All right, I'll change mine to number 1 then because I spaced.
I was
We'll go
totally not
Deathstroke 1,
expecting
Wonder
that from
Woman
Pete then.
Oh, nah, don't be influenced. No, you've picked your number 1.
Well, I'm not because I meant to put Deathstroke 1, and then we got talking about Wonder Woman. And I was like, I really like that issue too. So,
You know when Matt first said Detective second, I was like, has he forgotten about Deathstroke? I was like,
I did.
I thought that would have been number 1.
yeah.
Nah,
So we'll swap those two then.
Nah, perhaps surprising coming from me, it's weird that I'm picking an issue from a book that I'm not otherwise reading, and I feel no compulsion to read the next issue either. But
Fair.
as a standalone issue, it is the most impressive thing I read this week. Number 2 is Detective 949. Number 3 would be The Flash. Number 4 would be Wonder Woman, and number 5... I'm tempted to say Batgirl. I'm also tempted to say Teen Titans. I'm also tempted to say the event book. But I'm going with Teen Titans.
We almost had the same 5, just in different order.
It was
Shows you that it was a strong week, though, that we're all kind of really considering that as we're going through them. It's quite slow.
Yeah. And even then, like I mentioned like 2 that almost made my top 5, and then I'd also be like, but I also quite like Blue Beetle this month as well.
Yeah, I really wanted to have Odyssey of the Amazons, was just missing out, and it's close. Yeah. There's a lot of closeness.
As for worst, but I guess Odyssey of the Amazons for me, because I didn't even finish it, so...
We're still doing worst?
I don't know, I feel like there's enough
just every
there.
so often.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to pick a worst. I liked all of them.
I don't have one because even dropping Blue Beetle.
I'd have to go with Suicide Squad because it wasn't a bad issue.
Yeah.
Don't make apologies, Connor. You need to make a hard choice. Hard cut. No apologies.
Well, that's mine.
That was off camera. That was off camera.
Oh, that was really annoying.
Give me the finger off camera.
Next week we got some books. Because it wouldn't be...
Yeah, we got books next week. Yeah, you want books? You can tell Matt wants to wrap up when he's like, hey, Peter, what's coming next week?
Yeah.
Stuff
to do, man.
Right, next week we have Batman 16, Green Arrow 16, Green Lantern 16, Justice League 14, Nightwing 14, Superman 16, we have Death of Hawkman issue 5, and we have The Fall and Rise of Captain Atom issue 2. Plus, in addition to this, we will not be covering, because these were all dropped by us for various reasons, but also out next week is Harley Quinn 13, Aquaman 16, Cyborg 9, and Midnighter and Apollo issue 5. So it's a lighter week for us. I only have 7 books to read next week, which is much less than this week.
As do I. And I am looking forward to it.
And I had about 14 this week.
Yeah, I had, total of 12 this week?
Yeah, it was quite a lot.
That was a big week.
I'm really not looking forward to Justice League going back to Hitch.
No.
That feels like a bit of a chore. But,
we had Sealy for 2 issues, and that was nice. But
I know.
Also,
there's a Absolute Wonder Woman by Azzarello. Volume 1's coming out. It seems to cover about the first half of that run. So
that sounds about right. Yeah, you couldn't just put that in 3. It'd have to be 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right. But yeah, there you go. That's this week's show. We had a lot of books. We mostly enjoyed all of the books.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we even had a nice surprise in that I read Deathstroke and even picked it as my favourite. So there you go. Busy week at DC
Is that
Comics.
the first unanimous number 1 of the year?
It is.
So far, yeah.
First of 2017. Yeah.
Oh, nice. It deserves it.
There you go. We almost went the whole month without one, but it just snuck in there at the end. So there you go. So obviously let us know what you thought of all this week's books in the comments below on YouTube, or you can get us on Twitter at mild_fuzz. individual Twitters are on the screen. But of course, for the audio people, since Connor like to complain at me for not doing it, I'm at Wibble89. Connor is at Connor Ryan 94. Matt is at Matt of Steel 57. There you go, nice and simple. You can also email us, mailedfuzz@gmail.com, if you get any questions, talking points, little games for us to play, especially for like a 5th week, which we will probably slot some of this stuff in if you do send us it. You can get us mailedfuzz@gmail.com. And there we go. Yeah, like, subscribe, give us 5 stars on the iTunes, on the SoundCloud, wherever it is you're experiencing this.
Come join the Multiverse Facebook page and join the wider community. That it's not beyond just us 3.
I mean, we are the main event, obviously, but...
Of course, you want to come and interact with us on a one-to-one basis.
Too. Just because James is entertaining for all the wrong reasons. that man reads more Donald Duck books than I thought that was produced. I'm pretty sure he's making up a lot of them himself.
It's funny because he's a DC guy. He reads as much DC as us, James does, and then he on top of that reads all of these Duck and Mickey Mouse books that come out from... Is it IDW that do them? I want to say.
I think I want to say it's Boom or IDW.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
it's one of the two. No, they're not Marvel. That's the weird thing.
Is the license not reverted?
Yeah, it must still just be with IDW from before.
But they are doing Disney books, just not like that, like Mickey Mouse. So that's how you get Haunted Mansion, Enchanted Tiki Room, Big Thunder Mountain, through Marvel. But yeah, James, odd character. We love him to pieces, though.
Yes, a very, very wacky individual. But so come join the Mailed Fuzz Facebook group if you want to. And I think that's about everything. Also, minor note, I caught up in Aliens Defiance this week. Excellent alien book.
Brian Wood, though. It's Brian Wood, though. What should else be expected?
Looks gorgeous as well. And it's a unique alien story. And I highly recommend it. I caught up. I've decided doing this thing where in the off part of the week between the podcast and when the new DC books come out, I try and catch up in a series. And that's
because you guys read them all in one day. I space mine out. So
no. Because the thing is, we record this on the Saturday, so we have from Wednesday to Saturday to read DC books, and then you have Saturday night to the Tuesday night to read.
So the off part of the week, Matt. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I mean between the podcast.
I
and
thought
the
you
new
meant
books.
from Wednesday to Friday.
No. The other half.
Structure all your.
Yeah. I've been reading Bombshells, obviously the digital series, and it has what may be my favorite iteration of Wonder Woman.
Nice.
It's fantastic.
Hefty praise.
Yep.
But there you go, guys. That's this week's show. This has been episode 36, I think, of this show.
Sure.
35, 36. So we're getting up there in numbers. So thank you very much for watching and or listening. We always appreciate it. And always remember, never get lost in the Speed Force.
Long live the Legion.